Who was walking the Chihuahua?
My daughter. All of a sudden, we seen a brown pit bull.
Yeah, those are clearly puncture wounds.
The dog's never touched, ever. He did that. He did that to his dog.
You want me to believe that this man put multiple puncture wounds in the dog?
Yes.
She is so delusional.
This is Judy Justice. Lorenzo Marshall is suing his neighbor, Deanna Hale, for vet bills and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 1062, Marshall versus Hale.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Marshall, it is your claim that the defendant's dog injured yours. Your dog was ultimately euthanized.
Yes.
You want the defendant to be responsible not only for the vet bill, but for the emotional trauma that the attack caused on your child.
Yes.
You two are neighbors.
Yes.
You have a Chihuahua.
Yes.
Had a Chihuahua.
Had.
You have a pit bull.
Yes, ma'am.
How old was your Chihuahua?
3.5.
How old is your pit bull?
11. She'll be 12 on Monday.
And you've had her since puppy?
Since she was born, we delivered her in our garage.
Is that your only dog?
Yes.
Ever had any issues with her before?
No, we have not. There was confusion about an issue, but it was worked out because there's a dog that lives on the opposite corner that looks exactly like ours, but is a boy and is always free. And so that dog had an altercation with a lady and her dog while my husband and I were out on our porch. So when we saw it, we came out and helped her. And I walked her home, and then my husband was kind of standing back trying to make sure that that dog was gone.
Just a second. TMI.
Okay.
Too much information. This incident happened how long ago?
I don't actually know. I just read about because they had a note in here about something, and it said that there was another incident with our dog, but we realized that what they were talking about was when they initially thought it was our dog, but we talked to the officers, and they realized it was the other dog.
Don't tell me what they realized. Don't tell me.
Okay.
If he broaches that subject, I will address it.
Okay.
Tell me on what date this incident occurred, sir.
On May 18th of 2021.
What time?
Around 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Who was walking the Chihuahua?
My daughter.
How old is she?
10.
Where were you?
Right next to her.
What are her special needs?
She has Down syndrome. She has a speech impediment, and she has a stent in her heart. So.
Before this dog, which was 3 years old at the time, did you have another dog?
I did.
What kind of dog did you have?
That one was a terrier.
What happened to that dog?
Well, due to my wife and I, our addiction in the past, we lost that dog when we lost our house and our daughter. But when we got our stuff together 5 years ago, we ended up getting my daughter another dog. That kitty, the one that we had to put down.
Was your daughter living with relatives or in foster care?
My daughter, she was in foster care, yes.
For how long?
About a year and a couple months.
Glad to see you got it together.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm happy.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me what happened on May 18th.
Like always, my daughter and I, we walk her dog every afternoon, and she was walking the dog down the street, and then all of a sudden we seen a brown pit bull come from the defendant's backyard, and there's no fence, so the dog just came charging out. My first instinct was to grab my daughter, so I grabbed my daughter and turned her around and put her behind me. And I grabbed the dog's leash, and Kitty's in a harness, and I pulled Kitty up real hard so the dog doesn't get her, but Kitty flew out of her harness. And the dog came and grabbed her and pinned her down on the ground. So she came running out, the defendant came running out with a chain and hit the dog and grabbed the dog and took it off. I grabbed my dog and my daughter and I left.
Okay, so Miss Hale came out with what kind of a chain?
I'm guessing it's the dog's leash. Because
Was it a metal chain?
Yes.
Had you known Miss Hale prior to May 18th?
No.
You'd never seen her before?
I mean, I've seen them because we walked past their house to walk the dog, but other than that, no.
I haven't had any conversation with her?
No.
Okay. And after she came out and got her dog out of the situation, did she actually hit the dog with the chain?
Yes.
How many times?
Just once.
And then what did the dog do?
And then the dog let go, and then she grabbed the dog, and then I grabbed my dog. And then I grabbed my daughter and I left.
Okay, so you carried your dog?
Yes.
And how did she grab hold of her dog?
She just really just jumped on
Miss
her.
Hale, There's only one attitude here.
I understand.
That would be mine.
Agreed.
Do you understand?
I do.
It's all good.
Thank you.
She just basically jumped on the dog after, you know what I mean? Just a quick reaction.
When did you next see her?
I want to say maybe the third or fourth time we came to try to give them the vet bill. And then that's when she told me that her husband wasn't home and that, you know, she couldn't deal with nothing right now. And that to leave the mail or the vet bill in the mailbox.
When you say it was the second or third time, when was the first time?
The first time was the day that I took my dog to the vet on the 19th.
So you took your dog the next day?
Yeah, because the first night, or the night it happened, the day it happened on the 18th, we went to the emergency room, but the vet wasn't there.
You mean because
the
it was
vet, I'm sorry.
after 5 o'clock?
Yeah,
So you went to an emergency vet?
yes.
What happened there?
And the lady, the nurse there, said that the vet wouldn't be in for a couple of hours.
So you went home?
Yes.
And what did you do with the dog?
I did what she told me to do, basically keep it wrapped up. And I just let Kitty sit down, and she said, just let her get comfortable. So I let her get comfortable.
Was she bleeding from any place?
Not at the time, no.
And you didn't see any puncture wounds?
Oh yeah, there was puncture wounds. I have pictures of it too.
I'd like to see the pictures.
Ma'am, may I see them also?
Of course.
Oh, thank you.
First me.
Of course.
That's my dog.
Thank you. Yeah, those are clearly puncture wounds. Would you show these, Kevin, to the defendant? This isn't, there's no wound on,
No, it was stuck to the paper.
okay. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll take that back now, Kevin. Thank you. I only see 2 puncture wounds. I don't see any more. Is that what you saw, 2
Well,
puncture?
that's all. No, the other 2, I guess, were deep inside. We couldn't get the picture of it.
No, but I see
But,
2.
yeah.
Is that what you're showing me here?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you took the dog to the vet and surgery was suggested.
Yes.
How much did they want for the surgery?
It was between $3,000 and $5,000, but they couldn't tell until they did the x-rays. So I had to put up $1,000 just to put her on the machine until I can get enough money to have them go through with the process.
And so what was this $845 for?
To euthanize.
Do you have that bill?
Oh, this goes with it. Because they had messed up when they did the total. They didn't charge something, but then they put the total into that.
So what you actually paid to the vet was $854.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Miss Hale. Clearly, your dog was off leash.
Yes,
Clearly.
No, ma'am. She actually had her leash on, but it's a long chain, as he said. It is a chain, and I didn't have full control of it.
Actually, Miss Hale, your dog was off leash.
Okay.
If you don't have control of it, then the dog is off leash.
Okay.
Because if the dog was on the leash, you wouldn't have had any contact. Put your hand down. Because if you had control over the dog,
No, I understand what
then
you're
it
saying.
wouldn't have punctured this dog. You
Ma'am,
would
that
have
did not
stopped.
happen. Can I please just tell you?
You can. We're going back to May 18th,
The actual
2021 at 4:30. Where exactly were you?
I was in the backyard with my dog.
Okay. You were in the backyard. Who else was there?
It was just me and my dog in the backyard.
Okay. And where was your husband?
Inside, and he just got out of the shower.
So he was inside the house?
Yes, ma'am.
So he was inside the house and not there. Now, is your bathroom where the shower is in front of the house or in the back of the house?
No, he said he was drying off. He was in the
Just a
the
second.
bathroom is in
Where-
the room.
where-
The bathroom is in the bedroom. I'm answering your
I'm
question.
asking you whether the shower in your house is towards the front of the house or the back of the house. That's a simple
back of the
question.
house, in the-
the back of the house.
Next
So
to the
he-
driveway, where I can give you the picture if you would like to see exactly where. I can show you.
I asked you a simple question. Is the bathroom in the back of the house?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's in the back of the house.
Yes.
because he was moving his head up and down as if he actually witnessed this thing, which he did not.
No, he did, ma'am.
Impossible.
It's not impossible because he was getting out of the shower. He heard his dog, like he normally does. He heard me say, Layla, sit. So he looks out of the window. The window is right there. He couldn't come out because he was naked. So he's looking out of the window, and I'll let him tell you what he saw.
Yeah, you can let him tell me what you saw. Your dog was
I didn't
out.
see
Your
him.
dog was, for whatever reason, not under your control.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
And then what happened? Okay, so his dog comes walking up the street. His dog.
How do you know that if you were in the backyard?
Okay. His
No,
dog.
just-
Imagine an angry Fran Drescher as a Chihuahua. It screams like literally. I don't know how to do it. It's embarrassing.
Just a second. I'm asking you. You said to me, I'm in the
answering your question.
backyard with my dog.
I'm answering your question.
And you said he comes walking down the street, and I just want to know how you see that.
And that's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Well, then,
we don't see them.
So you don't
hear them.
You
hear them
hear?
because the dog that he's speaking of, if it sees anything, whether it's a cat, a bird, anything, it barks. I'm talking like a loud trot. All the way down the street. Everyone in the neighborhood sees it, knows it, everything.
Listen to me. Don't tell me what anyone sees.
Okay.
Don't tell me what anyone knows.
What I see.
You heard
what I see and I hear.
You heard his dog barking as he was walking it down the street.
Past my house.
Okay.
He comes to my. Okay, now we're in my backyard. I don't know. Well,
Who's we? You and the dog.
Me and the dog. Me and Layla are in our backyard. Layla is my dog.
Yes, I know.
We're in our backyard. I'm picking up her food stuff because we went for the walk. I have her food trays out, and so I was going to bring it in the house. I had her here right next to me. His dog, he's standing at the end of my driveway. His dog is on one of those retractable leashes, but is in my driveway underneath the bushes. And I can show you exactly where it is, how everything positions out. But is screaming, barking at my dog. So my dog, of course, goes in that direction. I see what's happening from second.
Just a second. So your dog sees his dog hears his dog and goes in that direction.
Yes.
At that point, the dog is off leash. He says no. You say yes. Who should I believe? He's shaking his head this way, and you're saying yes. Now, you're both seeing the same thing.
I'm agreeing with you as the point of you saying I did not have control. She did have her leash on.
I don't care whether she had her leash on. You're just trying to explain to me, madam.
No, I'm trying to be accurate.
No, you're trying to explain to me that his dog was on a retractable leash and therefore really not in control because...
And that is accurate.
Just a second, because the dog, you say, is now on your driveway.
That is correct.
That's correct. And I'm saying you didn't have your dog on leash.
In my driveway.
Correct. And he's saying...
No, she was on her leash. I did not have full control, but she was on her...
That's not a question of full control. You can have a leash on a dog and a collar on a dog, and the dog can be in Paramus while you're in Teaneck. That doesn't mean you're in control of your dog.
Which is why I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, but he wasn't. He wasn't. He was saying just the opposite of you.
I didn't say anything. I can't talk.
Oh, yeah. I would say that you should put your phone away and listen with your 2 ears. When Layla heard Kitty's tags jingling,
no, ma'am.
Layla ran off and Deonna immediately chased after her. This is what the officer says you said.
Lorenzo Marshall claims his neighbor, Deonna Hale, owes for vet bills after his dog was attacked by Deonna's pit bull.
Okay.
Would you like me to finish?
I would.
Okay. So my car is here. Layla is here. His dog is here in line sight with us. He's standing back here. I run behind Layla to grab her, so I was able to catch her before the dog. The dog's never touched ever, not one point in time did the dogs ever touch. When he sees Layla, he yanks his dog back, which is a normal reaction. He yanks his dog back, but he's swinging his dog around in a circle. The dog makes at least 2 full circles. By that time, I'm sitting on top of my dog, because I had her chain right here. So I'm sitting on top of her and I'm holding her. He lets go of the dog's leash. She goes flying further into my driveway, past me, like right under my bedroom window where he's looking out the window. It flies under the window, and I'm sitting there, and then the dog is now in my driveway, still barking, but didn't want to run past. Finally, the dog runs past me because I'm sitting. I was like, "Can you get your dog?" And his dog runs to the sidewalk. He walks over, picks up his dog, and then they walk home. I come inside the house, and my husband, he's standing there with his towel. He said, "That dog came by again?" I said, "Yeah." He knew nothing. He saw, well, I'll let him explain what he saw. I said, "I'm worried about his daughter. I want to make sure she wasn't scared, you know." And I asked him, because he's a psychiatric counselor on the child unit. I said, "Do you think I should go check on her?" He said, "Absolutely." So I go down to his house. I asked the neighbor, I said, "Hey, you know the people upstairs that have the screaming dog?" And she's like, "Yeah, I know where they live." And I said, "You know, I don't want to go up there. Would you mind getting them for me?" She goes up, she gets them. He comes downstairs with his daughter and the dog. I look at his daughter. I said, "Hey, baby girl, how you doing?" She goes, "Good." She comes over and gives me a hug. Then I look over at him. He won't make eye contact with me, but he's holding the dog, but he has a blanket kind of under it. And so I thought that was weird, because I knew the dogs never touched. Not at one point in time did the dogs ever make contact. I'm like, that's weird. Like, why are you, what's that? So I played it off. I walk over to him and the dog. I put my hand on the dog. Somebody's like, "Hey, puppy, didn't mean to scare you." And the dog licks my finger and is fine. Like, I literally touched the dog. There's of course, not a scratch, no blood, no nothing, because the dogs never touched. Ever, not one point in time. I swear on everything.
Now we're going to get back to the other incident that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. When did that allegedly occur?
I think they said it was like back closer to when we moved in. I don't remember the date because it didn't really involve us. The first we were seeing it was here.
Just give me the month and year.
I don't have the month and year, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
You have any report of any prior incident with this dog?
Yes, I do. Well,
I'd like to see it, please.
And ma'am, may I tell you the same officer that did that report?
No.
Is the same one that came to our house?
No, I just want to see it. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
and Your Honor, may I say something about what she said about my daughter saying she was fine?
No, I understand.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying to me, sir. You described the nature of her frailty, so I do understand.
Thank you.
Ms. Hale.
Yes, ma'am.
Just so that you know, that the veterinary emergency report on the dog indicate, and I'm quoting, multiple puncture wounds to the lateral abdominal wall, penetrated abdominal wall wound present.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I do.
Okay.
May I respond?
Only with something intelligent.
Okay.
You know, only with something.
I would like to respond.
Sure.
You're reading me a vet bill that says that his dog had injuries, correct?
Multiple puncture wounds to the lateral abdominal wall, penetrating the abdominal wound present.
Okay, so I have a question.
I don't have an answer. I don't answer questions.
So there were no.
I don't.
When I saw the dog, right after when I went to their house, there were no wounds at all. And not only that, when he went to the vet, he's saying that there were now all of a sudden there were puncture wounds.
No. He's not saying anything. He gave me a report.
Right. What I'm saying is, first of all, our dog's never touched.
Okay.
Second,
I understand what you're saying.
If there were injuries to that dog, he did that. He did that to his dog.
Me and my daughter?
Just a second.
Absolutely. No, not your daughter. I believe you did it. I believe you did it because there were no wounds to that dog, and you know it.
Right.
You know it.
I heard my
They
own dog.
never, yes, you absolutely did.
Mr. Marshall.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
I got it.
No, and he's banking off of the prejudices of pit bull. My dog is a 12-year-old arthritic dog with joint hip dysplasia and joint problems. I have videos of her trying to walk. She can't even run like the way he's saying she did. I can show you.
But she ran out and bit my dog.
But she didn't.
She's not going to take down what you're saying.
That's fine, but as long as you know what the truth is, whatever the outcome is, I'm here to tell you the truth.
Miss Hale, I have to tell you that it's very, very hard for me to imagine that the parent of any child, no less a Down's child who is an affectionate child,
which is why he's banking on that.
Hey, accidents happen.
It didn't happen, ma'am.
Yeah. Well, you want me just a second.
It did not
just a second. And what you want me to believe is that this man took his dog home and took something like an ice pick.
Yes, ma'am.
And stamped.
I don't know what he used. I don't know what he did.
Well,
there absolutely were no injuries to the dog.
You acknowledge that you had no control of your dog, and your dog went running down the driveway, walking down the driveway, sprinting down the driveway, crawling down the driveway, but at some point you didn't have control of the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's correct that you were advised of your right to an administrative hearing if you did not consent to 3 years probation for your dog?
No.
And that both you and your husband did not want a hearing and agree to the probation period. Is that correct?
That is not correct. In fact, actually, this is the first time we saw that, and so I actually called the officer and spoke with him today, and I have a text message from him with that. Well, not from him, but from me to him about that.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't do text messages, madam.
Would you like the officer's phone number?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That's your witness. You bring him.
Okay.
Page 3. I advised Donna and Dewey, that would be the two of you, that they would need to display the potentially dangerous dog sign that was provided by the shelter and by Layla's dangerous dog license. I advised on 3 years probation. I provided Donna with my card and case number and with definitions pertaining to the above laws. I then cleared the scene. Then on June the 2nd, he next says, I spoke to the animal owner, Deonna Hale, via phone, who stated that she will be in this week to sign the contracts to obtain potentially dangerous sign and license for Layla. Hale has already been cited for the above violation. Okay, so this is what the officer wrote in his report. First, they talk about a prior incident, which I assume is the incident you're going to tell me, right, with some other dog. I must tell you that when they spoke to your husband the first time about this incident, he says he was complaining that these small dogs are always defecating on his property.
Yes, we've had arguments with neighbors about it.
Just a second. I'm just reading you what he said with regard to the prior incident. He said he interviewed you, and on the day of the incident, Deonna had just... This is what...
We never interviewed about the prior incident.
Just a second. On the day of the incident, May 18th.
Okay, May 18th.
Pay attention. Deonna had just got back from walking Layla. Deonna took off Layla's chain near the back porch of the residence. Deonna walked me up her driveway and to the area where the incident started, and she removed Layla's chain. When Layla heard the little dog's, Kitty's tags jingling...
No, ma'am.
I'm reading you what the officer wrote. Layla ran off, and Deonna immediately chased after her. This is what the officer says you said.
He has proof showing that he took his dog to a vet days later. So he's saying that he went to a vet, they told him to go home with wounds?
What you want me to believe is that this man took a... There's no attitude here but mine.
Lorenzo Marshall says his neighbor, Deonna Hale, is responsible for vet bills after her pit bull attacked his dog.
Okay, Deonna walked me to the area where the interaction occurred. Deonna stood on the public sidewalk and stated that the man, Marshall, was swinging the little dog, Kitty, around on her leash.
That is correct.
Deonna quickly hit Layla with the chain. Deonna jumped on Layla to gain control of her. Deonna told the man to get his dog. Deonna stated that he saw the man had a small special needs child with him. Deonna was concerned for the child and walked to North to make sure the child was okay. Deanna stated she was met with a small dog owner, Marshall, who had the dog in a blanket and was holding it. The male stated he was taking the dog to the vet. Deanna stated that she pet the dog and did not see or feel any injury on the small dog. She stated she saw no blood on the dog. Deanna stated she saw the whole thing, and Layla did not hurt the small dog. That was
He's
page 4.
elaborating, and he is not using my specific words.
Okay.
If you want to use my specific words, I can show you the picture of what he's talking about on the driveway.
Did
You're
you?
relying on words
I'm
from people
speaking.
who weren't there.
I'm speaking. Did you go and pick up the sign as you were directed to do? That's a yes or a no. That's a yes or a no.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you get your dog licensed in Stockton?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
On July 7th. And that's when I was advised.
Just a second. 7/7. Okay.
Can I tell you, I was advised.
You can't tell me what you were advised. You can show me a document if you like that says something.
Can I show you?
I'll take a look at the document, any document you have.
So this is the license.
Just hand them the document.
And that's that.
Well, this would be a reminder notice. Violation date is 5/26. Amount due $4,790. What is $4,000 for?
Because the way it was explained to me by the officer.
No. Did this have to do with the dog?
Yes.
Did you pay the money?
No.
Just a second.
Because if you look at the paper, it tells you why. I was told by the officer that we can go contest it because we disagree with the entire process. They told us if we got the letter that we were asking about, if we accepted that letter and we signed those contracts, it's saying that we agreed to the terms. We do not agree to the terms because our dog's never touched. My dog is not
I'm just telling you what this says.
I understand what it says.
This says amount due.
And it says that we have to contest
$4,790. When are you going to contest this?
On February 10th. I think it's on the top of that form.
Of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's the nature of the violation? No.
This incident.
No. The nature of the violation has to be you agree to probation and you agree to put signs up on your lawn.
But we do not. We do not agree to probation. We do not agree to put up signs. My dog is not violent. The incident that he is saying did not happen.
Okay.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to pay $4,000 to a city because somebody else is making up a lie.
Just you stay with that story. Somebody may believe you.
I'm staying with the truth.
Somebody may believe you. I do not.
And why do you not? Why do you not believe me when I have proof here showing you?
Just a second.
He has proof showing that he took his dog to a vet after the fact, days later. So he's saying that he went to a vet. They told him to go home with wounds.
No.
They told him to go home with wounds. The dog. He took his dog home.
I heard you already. What you want me to believe, madam, is that this man took a. There's no attitude here but mine. Mm-hmm. There's still no attitude here but mine. You want me to believe that this man took his dog after this incident, that this man decided, you're an idiot, that this man decided, to take an ice pick to his dog and put multiple puncture wounds in the dog.
Yes.
And that's what you want me to believe. You're an idiot. At first, actually, Mr. Marshall, I was going to award you the vet fees. She is so delusional, and she's got a co-conspirator with her delusions. I'm actually embarrassed for you.
Thank you.
I'm actually embarrassed for you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
He flat out lied.
It's a shame that people can't be honest.
Our dog's never, ever touched at any point in time.
You know, if you have a dog that does something wrong, you should be man enough or woman enough to admit it and take responsibility for yourself.
I believe that he injured his own dog.
That's really insulting, you know, that I would actually harm my daughter's dog.
He walks by our house every single day to this day.
People are like that nowadays. When they know they're wrong, they're going to try and do everything they can to avoid paying anything.
I think what to me was most outrageous was even the suggestion that that man would purposely injure that dog in order to get money from these people when he clearly didn't want money from them. He originally just said, please just pay my vet bill. So I would have to think that he was really a pretty deranged guy to do that. On the flip side of that, you have this woman who really didn't see what happened at the beginning because she was running and chasing after her dog because her dog was clearly barking on the way. She said nothing to the police officer who came and spoke to her about the dog, yap, 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 yapping and being up her driveway. As a matter of fact, she took the officer to the place on the public sidewalk where the incident took place, which means that her dog was out of her control on the public sidewalk, not on the driveway. It so defies credulity that that kind of behavior, was really an accident. But animals are animals. And that's why they're supposed to be under your control at all times. And what you're supposed to do is, if it happens, accept responsibility for it.
Take accountability.
Take accountability. And neither she nor her husband, who appeared to be very intelligent people, intelligent doesn't necessarily make you smart.
Very true.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
Have a business in renting jet skis?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any accident?
No.
And it's still working?
No.
Your Honor, I have right here that he is re-rented out, listed online.
Oh, well, that's a problem. You're renting them to other people.
This is Judy Justice. Jeremy Wisman is suing jet ski renter Amanda Hartley for property damages and lost revenue.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
How are you, Kevin?
Good. Case number 1142, Wisman versus Hartley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Wisman, you have a business in renting jet skis?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you had the business?
April 2021.
What did you do before that?
I was in the military, and I work in missile defense also. That's my full-time job.
So this is sideline.
It is.
Did you buy equipment?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you buy?
I have 3 sets of jet skis.
When was the first time you purchased jet skis?
September of 2020.
What kind?
Sea-Doo watercraft.
Were they new or used?
Used.
How much did you pay for them?
$7,000.
What year were they?
One's a 2006, one's a 2008.
Take a look. And you had 3 sets, you said?
Correct.
When did you buy the second set?
The second set I bought in April of this year, 2021.
Were they also used?
Yes, ma'am. 2006 and 2008.
Also Sea-Doos?
One's a Sea-Doo, one's a Yamaha.
How much did you pay for them?
$14,500.
What was the difference?
The market,
Fascinating.
Yeah,
That's
everything was going
fascinating.
a lot higher than Blue Book value.
Because they couldn't get parts and stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
I know. Car manufacturers have the same problem. So you paid double for pretty much the same thing.
Pretty close.
And when did you buy the third set?
July of this year.
And what did you buy?
They're actually 1997s. I had a friend who had them in storage and just wasn't using them and asked if I wanted to use them in my rental
they're still
business.
working?
No.
No.
No, I got them. They had been sitting for a couple of years and they weren't running, and they're still with the mechanic.
They're still not
They haven't
running.
been used at all.
How much
this
did you
summer.
pay them for those?
$1,000.
Oh, not bad.
No.
Okay. So the ones that you rented to Miss Hartley were the ones that you purchased in April of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that you returned them damaged.
Yes.
And the defendant said, well, they may have hit a rock or two, but nothing serious. Is that your answer?
No.
Well, did I make that up? I don't know. Just
No,
a
so
second.
there was some
Just
rocks
a
at
second.
the lake.
Hold on 1 second.
So for 2006 Sea-Doo, depending on the model, it looks like they range between $7,000 and $11,000.
For 2006?
Yes.
So you got a bargain in 2020?
Yeah, when I bought them, the Blue Book
Originally.
value was a lot lower, though, too.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, I thought that you indicated here that, yeah, you may have anchored them someplace, they may have hit a rock or two, but they
There were
weren't.
some rocks at the lake, but not that I had ran into any rocks.
No, I didn't say you ran into a rock. I didn't say you ran into a rock. I thought it said that you sort of anchored them and then you went doing something and they may have hit up against a rock. Isn't that what you said?
I mean, maybe I misunderstood you, but I didn't ride up against on rocks.
No, I didn't say that you rode against a rock. Did you indicate to the plaintiff that when you had the jet skis out, you had anchored them? They did have anchors?
Yes.
You had anchored them and maybe gone for a swim, gone for whatever, and they may have hit from a wave, from a current, they may have hit against a rock.
Yes.
Okay. Now, that's not something that you think about, like, the baby burped on my jet ski. That's oh my goodness, I anchored it too close to rocks, and I heard it hitting up against the rock, so you heard it.
No, I had it anchored up at a boat dock, of which is really where they should be, right? Have them on a boat dock. So there are rocks around the lake, but not that I was allowing them to repeat and hit against rocks or that I was hearing them against any rocks. We checked on them throughout the night. They weren't really moving very much. They seemed very okay. Wasn't very windy.
Do you have photographs of them?
I do.
I'd like to see them. Miss Hartley, when you took the jet skis, what color were they?
So the jet skis were supposed to be red ones. That was the ones that we discussed from you picking out. That's the ones that was listed online.
The red ones, sir, are the ones from 2020?
Yes.
The ones that you used were the ones that you purchased in 2021?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any reason that you switched them?
I believe they had broke from the previous rental.
The ones from 2020?
Yeah, they were in the shop, so I had that set left. And when we did discuss it, I wasn't 100% sure whether it was going to be the red ones or the ones I had just...
Doesn't matter 100% sure or not.
Your Honor, if I may speak, that's not what he had said to me on the day that we met.
What did he tell you?
So that day, I viewed the Sea-Doo and I viewed the Yamaha, and then he says the red ones were out, rented, had not been brought back yet. That the Sea-Doo and that the Yamaha is not what I would be taking out because they had rock sucked up in them, water sucked up in them. He still had to go through and clean it out from people that dropped it off, left it damaged with him. And then when I went and picked up and paid the rest of the amount to take jet skis out, these were the ones that he sent with me. So since he changed his mind on that, and these were what was sent out with me, I presumed that they were safe to drive and that they had been repaired.
Let me ask you this question. Did you take them both out?
I did.
Okay, and you used them?
Yes.
You're not renting damaged jet skis. You're suing her for $10,000, which would make these things totally inoperable. But you're renting them to other people.
They're going to be repaired fully.
Well, they're not going to be repaired by her.
And later today,
Miss Keeling.
Yes.
Where is this coin collection?
It's in the car.
How did you get here to court today?
A rental.
I have to tell you that I'm not liking your attitude.
Yes.
Do you understand that?
jet ski owner Jeremy Wisman claims Amanda Hartley damaged both of his jet skis while renting them.
Let me ask you this question. Did you take them both out?
I did.
Okay, and you used them?
Yes.
And did you take the trailer?
Yes.
Did anything happen with the trailer?
So with the trailer, it was missing pins, and so we had to purchase our own pins with the trailer. And then the lights were not working, so we had to purchase our own lights for that trailer. So when we dropped off the trailer and the jet skis, I had let him know that the lights were not working. I had to then purchase my own.
Did you send him that by text or by phone?
By message, by
May I see it?
messenger, yes. Let's see.
Mr. Wisman, the prior people who you said rented the jet ski, you said that they damaged them, which is possible, if not probable, when somebody uses jet skis. Because I know my own grandchildren ride around like lunatics in them when they have an opportunity. Why don't you have insurance if this is a business of yours?
I do have personal insurance.
Not personal insurance. I'm talking about any kind of insurance for damage to your business, to your property.
Well, business insurance was...
For the jet skis. You paid $14,000 for them. I'm just curious.
So I do have insurance on them. I have that right here. The reason I don't want to make a claim on them is because my insurance skyrockets or they would drop me because I have so many pieces of equipment insured on them.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
Your Honor.
May I see the text messages? That, Mr. Wisman, might be your problem.
Can I speak for a moment, please?
Yes, in a second. Wait,
okay.
I'm reading this. Do you have the next page of this? This is on June 19th at 12:41 p.m. We haven't made it to the lake yet. Someone must have drove the trailer into the water because there was water in the lights. The brake lights don't work, and there's no keys to the blue jet ski. Then you write back, the key was in the center console. They worked when you guys took them, and the keys were in both.
They picked them up at 10 o'clock at night. The lights worked.
Right here is where it says that
Just-
I bought the
don't-
lights.
don't-
Okay.
Don't read it, just give it. Thank you. What does this mean, no sucked up rocks?
Because he had asked me, was there water and rocks sucked up in it? Because when I picked those ones up, he said that's what he had to clean out, what was in those Sea-Doos and the Yamaha prior for me picking them up, which is why he said I was going to have the red ones instead of those.
Got it. Would you show this to the plaintiff, please, and tell him to explain that to me?
This is her telling me that she didn't suck any rocks up.
The front part of that jet ski is what I am aware of the damage that I did.
Great. Let me know exactly how you damaged the front of the jet ski.
I was driving into the front of the shore and then gravely bumped against the boat dock.
And when you bumped against the boat dock, what happened to the jet ski?
So that's when the front piece of that plastic piece had broke.
Was there any damage to the Sea-Doo?
No.
Okay, you drove the Sea-Doo.
Yes.
Could you stand up for me, please? Your last name is?
Hartley.
Mr. Hartley, you drove the Sea-Doo and your wife drove the Yamaha.
Yes.
Did you stay on those all weekend?
We probably switched back and forth, but
Okay. Did you have any accident with the Sea-Doo?
no, ma'am.
Hit anything?
Nope.
Did you see any damage to the Sea-Doo?
No.
And when you returned them, the damage that you saw on the Yamaha was this front panel damage that your wife had done.
Yeah.
How much did you pay the plaintiff
$480
for the weekend?
for the weekend. Yes.
For the two?
The deposit was $300, and then when we picked him up, we had paid him the $180, and he said that was fine.
And when you dropped them off, was he there?
Yes, so I assume he was inside his home. We were messaging. As I was there at his home, I'm texting him, hey, I'm here. Do you want to come outside and overview these? He then declined to come outside and look at them.
May I see those texts?
Oh, I don't believe I have those of him declining to come outside.
Well, I
But,
want to. I'd like to see your text to him indicating that you're there.
I never got that text.
I don't think I have it within this, but we were
Well, that's
texting the whole
important.
way that we were there.
That's important.
Can I speak, ma'am? My last message to her was at 10:45 that night, saying that since there's no daylight and I had to work the next day, to go ahead and just leave them in the front yard.
Got it. So you just told her to leave it.
I told her to leave it at 10:45, but I never received any response back. No, I'm here.
And she left it.
Yes.
And the next day you looked and you saw damage.
Yes, ma'am.
And the only thing that she advised you of was damage to the blue Yamaha.
She did say that there's scuffs and stuff on the bottom of the holes also.
Well, they may.
But she wasn't sure if that was still there. But they
And
weren't
also
scuffs. They were
indicated that I
giant
didn't
holes
believe it
in
was
them.
from me.
There were giant holes.
Yeah, like what you saw in the pictures.
Okay. I would like to see the repair bill. And I would like to see why, if you have these insured, why you didn't use the insurance unless you have a deductible.
They're not fully repaired yet. So I don't have the repair bill.
Your Honor, I have right here that he is still, they must be fixed because he has them re-rented out, listed online.
May I see it?
Yes. And from when I screenshot that yesterday, it said a week ago.
Is this the Yamaha you used?
Yes.
Did you list these out for rent, sir, after the defendant used them?
I did, yes.
Just,
I have them.
the answer is you did. So they must be available.
So they're patched. They're not fully fixed. And I haven't. They're at the mechanic right now.
Mr. Wisman, unless you can show me an estimate to fix the front panel that she says was damaged, I'm dismissing your case.
The front bill. This is just the front piece.
I'd like to see it.
I ordered it and replaced it myself.
I'd like to see it. It was $114.59. That's the only piece you're getting reimbursed for.
Not the holes.
So
Oh, no. Not that you re-rented again. I don't know how many people you rent these things to and say, well, I patched them up and charged the exact same thing as she did, and then they use them, and with your patchwork, maybe they come off again, maybe you say that they damaged them. Listen, Mr. Wisman, if you're running a business and your business is renting jet skis and you have insurance, then use it. But you're not renting damaged jet skis. You're suing her for $10,000, which would make these things totally inoperable. But you're renting them to other
rented them
people.
once.
And later today,
Is anything today that I just said to you inaccurate?
Well, yes, as far as me going to his home.
jet ski owner Jeremy Wisman is accusing his customer, Amanda Hartley, of damaging his jet skis and not returning all his equipment.
Listen, Mr. Wisman, if you're running a business and your business is renting jet skis and you have insurance, then use it. But you're not renting damaged jet skis. You're suing her for $10,000, which would make these things totally inoperable. But you're renting them to other
rented them
people.
once.
You're renting them to other people.
They're going to be repaired. Fully.
Well, they're not going
Right
to be
now, it's
repaired by her.
Right now, it's the cosmetics.
114.59, judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished.
Ma'am, what
Court
about
is
all the
adjourned.
missing equipment?
That's it. We're done.
I'm not happy with it.
I'm just glad that the good person won in this.
I got a patch on him.
So I tried to make it right with him, and then when he started to have these excessive charges and have damages that were not mine, it was wrong.
They're going to be fixed fully this winter.
So that's when it needed to come to this.
They work. They're just cosmetically not finished.
Probably through an actual business, not private renter.
Probably do it for another year and see what happens.
I actually thought that while dressed in a suit and tie and sounding very good, when the defendant said, I sent him a note and I said, we didn't suck up any rocks, but I did damage the front and I'm sending you a picture of it. I thought two things were disingenuous about the plaintiff. A, he didn't use his insurance, and it's a business. He said, well, my rates will go up. Well, otherwise then you're
stuck with the damage.
You're stuck with the damage because usually if you rent a car, either you pay for the insurance when you rent a car or you self-insure. And the second thing, and the most important thing was, he said there were gaping holes in them and he took pictures of the holes. But then he acknowledged that he had listed them for rent. And then he said, I patched the holes. Who knows if a patch is good? You're out in the middle of a lake, and if the patch fails, then that's dangerous. Anyway, I was not impressed with him. If you're going to be in the business, this was our second jet ski case. I don't know why that's become such a popular business. I think probably because of the pandemic, Sarah.
I think people are just spending more time with their families outside.
We've seen our family with jet skis. Some are normal.
A few incidents here and there.
Some are normal. And some power them up and stand up on them. And you can ride them standing up and sitting down. By their very nature, they're designed to be driven aggressively.
Yeah.
Except if they're driven by a 70 and an 80-year-old, then, you're lucky to sort of make it around the lake. Anyway, I didn't believe him. That's the bottom line.
Case number 1164, Angeles versus Keelan. Please step forward.
Jorge Angeles is suing his former friend, Keontae Keeling, for the return of a car and a coin collection.
Miss Keeling,
Yes.
where is his coin collection?
It's in the car, in my Volkswagen Jetta.
Where is it?
It's parked in front of my apartment.
How did you get here to court today?
A rental.
I have to tell you that I'm not liking your attitude.
Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yes, I do understand.
Good. Case is a relatively simple one. You and the defendant were friends. A certain period of time you were roommates. According to you, just friends. There was a time when you needed a car. A friend was selling a car. According to the plaintiff, it was a Jetta. He agreed to advance the money for the car. He did. You agreed to pay him for the car. You didn't. He took the car. You went to the house and took his coin collection. That's how you have his coin collection. According to you, you were holding the coin collection as collateral to get the car back. He's a truck driver. While he was out of town, you went and took the car back.
Yes.
So far, you acknowledge all of those things,
Yes.
right? Two things. Is anything today that I just said to you inaccurate?
Well, yes, as far as me going to his home, I rented out a room in his house. So
From when to when?
from December 2020 till I took the car in August August 2nd,
Where was he when you took the car?
out of town.
The car is in both your names.
Yes, it is.
It was in both your names because you were supposed to pay him for the car, and as soon as you paid him for the car, he was going to take his name off the title. That was your agreement.
Yes,
Who has the title for the car?
George.
Great. Would you give me the title, please? I see it. Don't leave, Kevin. Where does she sign this car over to him? You know where? Right there. Sign it. Right now.
The date and signature.
Date it. Give it to him, please.
There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
You getting an appearance fee for coming to court today?
Yes,
How much?
$250.
We're going to hold that. He's going to pick up his car, which you didn't pay for. Do you understand?
I
Do you
understand.
understand?
I understand.
If the car isn't there or if there's any damage to the car, he's going to report it stolen because now he has full title to the car. Do you understand?
I understand.
Great. Where is the coin collection?
It's in the car in the Volkswagen.
Where exactly in the car?
It's in the trunk.
Do you know where the car is now located?
Yes.
Do you have a second set of keys for the car?
I have one set of keys, yes. Yes, I do.
You're not to go near the car again. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you do, he's going to call the police. Then we're going to play him this tape. Do you understand?
I understand.
Very good. You've got your car back and you've got your coin collection back. It's in the trunk.
Okay.
Any difficulty, you let me know.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We're
Thank
done
you.
here.
Court is adjourned.
I feel like he gave me the car as a gift
Well, I was just trying to help her get a car to go to her job.
because he wanted me to be his girlfriend.
We're just trying to be nice, not buy. You know, you don't buy people, you just be nice.
No, I took the coins out of anger because he took the car from me first.
I was the one that offered her a car,
That's what, just out of revenge, I just took his coin.
so she will not be Ubering all the time.
I'm not mad, you know, I just get my own car. I know what to do now.
Sarah Rose, that was easy peasy. That was very easy. You had a defendant who knew she was in the wrong, looking maybe to get over. She was nice looking, had a nice smile, took advantage.
Knew she took advantage.
Knew she took advantage. So didn't even fight me on signing over the title?
He's now made whole, which is our job.
That's absolutely right. If you can walk out here and if the right thing happens, then we've done our job.
Good day.
Good day.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
It got to be nasty between two sisters.
They just started screaming at each other.
And?
I heard my aunt. She was going to send her dogs on our cats so that they could kill them. I didn't see anything because I was in my room trying to avoid it.
Sounds like a wholly uncivilized way to live.
This is Judy Justice. Letitia Nichols is suing her sister, Lilia Rubio, for the destruction of her property and the return of rent.
All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. We have case number 10-04, Nichols versus Rubio.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Miss Nichols, I've read your complaint. This is your sister.
Yes, it is.
And there came a time when you and your family moved in with your sister.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me when that was?
That was in October.
Of what year?
Of 2020.
And how many were there in your family?
There were 7 of us.
You, your husband, and children? Mm-hmm. Where had you been living prior to moving in with your sister?
We lived in our own home in Barstow.
Is it a home that you rented or owned?
We rented.
Okay, so tell me, what was the reason that you and your family moved in with your sister? You're going to give it to me from your perspective, I know, but tell me your perspective on why your sister welcomed you and 5 children into her house.
We were asked to move in, or she was going to lose her house. She could not afford it on her own since she was about to go through a divorce. She came to us and she asked us to move in. She said her income was only $1,400, her mortgage was $1,900, and she wouldn't be able to keep the house.
Okay. Ms. Rubio, is that your understanding of the reason that your sister and her family moved in with you in October?
Yes, it is.
How large is your home?
It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. Has 2 masters.
Who in your family was living there?
Myself and my 2 children.
And I assume your sister is correct when she said at the time, around October, you were going through a divorce.
Correct.
And prior to that, your husband lived with you, he was employed?
Correct.
Are you still in that house?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's a house that you own?
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim, Ms. Nichols, that at some point your sister evicted you from the house.
She harassed us.
You say she harassed you, but your claim is that she really evicted you from the house, and as a result of that eviction, you suffered certain losses. You had to go to a hotel, your children were separated. Those are all things that flow from that. She did not bring eviction proceedings against you.
Correct.
Okay. You lived there in October, paid rent. What was your rent?
It was $1,500.
And are you employed?
I received disability. I'm about to be cut off. I had some surgeries and going to be going back to work.
Okay.
And I also received, my children have survivor benefits from their father.
Who is this?
This is my son.
Where is your husband?
My husband's at work.
Are any of the 5 children the children of your current husband?
I don't have any children with him, but his daughter was residing in the home.
Okay, so you have 4 children.
Me? Oh, I have 4 children.
You have 4 children with your now deceased husband.
Yes.
Got that?
Yep.
Okay, and they receive survivor benefits. And how much did each child receive from survivor benefits?
$800.
$800 a month. So there was a period of time you were receiving $3,200 a month for survivor benefits, and you were receiving disability. How much did you receive?
$1,032 currently.
And your husband was working.
Correct.
This is what I gather from your complaint is the gravamen of your case for eviction. There came a time, sometime in December of 2020, because you lived there, paid rent in October. I assume if I asked you the same question, you lived with your sister and paid rent in November.
Correct.
An incident occurred in December between your sister and your husband.
First, between me and her.
About what?
When I moved in, I wasn't told that her income was going to be $1,400 a month. And then I see that she's breeding dogs on the side as a side hustle, making thousands of dollars. So I questioned this. Why am I paying $1,500 of your mortgage and you're only paying $400 when you just made all this money? And so it became an attack. You're just jealous and insecure, looking to see what I have. And it just escalated from there. There was tension in the home. I paid her the money regardless. But
well, Ms. Nichols, my question to you is, you had an arrangement with your sister that you were going to pay $1,500 a month.
Based on the $1,400 that I knew was her income.
I don't care what you knew. You had an agreement with her to pay $1,500 a month. And if she hit the lottery and got $1 million, you're still obligated to pay $1,500 a month for yourself, your husband, and 5 children, 4 of your own and 1 of his. That's your obligation.
And I did.
So if she's making money because she's breeding puppies and selling them, that had nothing to do with you. I mean, you said that it began with the 2 of you over money, but I'm just letting you know that that's not a sympathetic argument, because it wouldn't be a sympathetic argument if you were getting $1,045 in disability and then you went back to work and you were earning $3,000 a month, and she said, well, now that you're earning $3,000 a month, you have to pay me $2,000 a month for rent. You had an agreement, and the agreement was for $1,500.
And I understand that. It was just meant to be a conversation.
I mean, it was my understanding that the difficulty arose with your husband and the defendant, and it was you who indicated, no, between the two of us, we had a problem
I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because there were some incidents that happened that same day, earlier that day.
What day?
That led up, December 8th.
Were you at home?
Me and my children were home, and they witnessed it. I was out that morning to go get everybody in the home breakfast.
So you didn't witness any incident?
With my
December 8th?
belongings, with my things?
Well, is that what started this?
Yes.
Okay, but did you witness it?
I have text messages of her. I didn't witness it with my eyes, but I have the threats and the follow through.
Do you have a witness?
Yes.
Is that your son?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me his first name.
Vincent.
Vincent, would you step up, please? Vincent, you were home on December 8th?
Yes.
About what time did you witness an incident that you felt was disturbing?
I don't remember what exact time, but it was early in the morning.
Okay, where was your mother?
She was out getting food for everyone.
Okay, and tell me what you witnessed.
I was going to go to my mom's room, but then I saw all of our Christmas stuff just shoved in front of her door.
And that was on December 8th?
Yes.
So when you say Christmas stuff, tell me what you're talking about.
Like decorations to put outside or like around the house.
Okay, and it was put in front of your mom's door?
Yeah.
And?
Well, I mean, that was it until she came home.
Okay, so what you saw were Christmas decorations that were supposed to be, that you thought were supposed to be put around the house, and they were
thrown. They weren't like neatly.
Yeah. Just a second. They were in front of your mother's door.
Yes.
Okay, now you can sit down, Vincent. Okay, so the Christmas decorations are in front of your door. Now, let's move on with this, because this really doesn't have much to do with why you're not in your sister's house anymore.
Well, after that, she comes out of her room, and they witnesses, all my children witnessed it.
No, don't. You can't tell me what all your children witnessed. Am I not finished with Vincent yet?
Okay.
Vincent, after you went to your mother's room, and I've forgotten why you went to your mother's room.
Well, I was just wondering where she was.
You said she was out getting us food.
Well, I didn't know that at the time until she came back with food.
Okay. You went to look for your mother.
Yes.
And when you went to look for your mother, you saw the Christmas decorations in front of the door. What did you do next?
I think I just went back to my room and then told my brother about it.
Okay. And what happened next?
We kind of just waited until she
No, what did you do? You just waited until your mother got home?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't witness anything else. You waited with your brother until your mother got home?
Yeah.
Okay. See anything else that day?
I mean, a lot of stuff happened whenever she did get home.
I grabbed my phone to call the police. He took it out of my hand, threw it, breaking the pantry door.
Did you finally get to the police?
I did call the police.
As a result of that incident, were you granted an order of protection?
Yes, ma'am.
Letitia Nichols claims her sister, Lilia Rubio, wrongfully evicted her and destroyed her property. Lilia is countersuing for utility bills and property damage.
Well, what happened when she got home?
Well, when she came home, me and my brother, we were trying to point out to her that her Christmas decorations had been thrown in front of her door, and then Lily came out. She just started arguing.
And?
They just started screaming at each other.
Vincent, was your mother's husband home?
Not at the time.
When did he come home?
Sometime around 5.
Were you at home when he came home?
Yeah.
Did an incident happen between your aunt and your stepfather?
Well, I believe there was one point.
Don't tell me what you believe. I only want to know what you saw.
I didn't see anything. I heard it because I was in my room trying to avoid it.
Okay. Tell me what you heard.
I heard Lily say
That's
that she
your
was...
aunt?
Yeah, my aunt. I heard her say she was going to send her dogs on our cats so that they could kill them.
That doesn't sound like a good situation.
Does not.
Prior to moving in with your aunt, were your mother and stepfather getting along?
Yeah, there wasn't any problems I was aware of.
Miss Nichols, prior to you moving in with your sister, were you and your husband in any sort of counseling?
We were in marital counseling, yes.
Okay. And that marital counseling was because of a couple of incidents that occurred?
It was due to communication, helping us communicate better with each other.
How long had you been in counseling?
I would say probably 3-4 months at the time.
What incident precipitated you and your husband going to counseling? I want you to think carefully. What incident precipitated you and your husband going to counseling?
I don't think there was a specific incident. I think it was just the way that we talked to each other, learning how to use the tone, how to say things, and we were both communicating and getting frustration. And so we both decided to do something to better that.
Was there ever a time that the police were called to your house?
No.
Did you and your sister have a discussion about, she had dogs, you had cats. How many cats did you have?
We had 2. We did have a discussion about that.
When?
Before we moved in.
And how many dogs did your sister have?
Well, different ones at different times, depending on what.
In December of 2020?
I think she had 2 or 3.
Okay, so now let's get back to December the 8th. You can sit down now. Was that the date that you moved out of the house?
No.
On what date did you move out of the house?
I was back and forth in the home.
As long as you had clothes there, you were there?
Yes.
On what date did you move your property out?
We came for the U-Haul load was December 21st, and then the last of it was the last day of the month.
And was your rent paid for that
was.
time? So there was an argument between your sister and your husband, and that argument escalated, and the police were called. Were you at home?
I was in the laundry room, so I didn't witness anything.
Okay. You want to tell me what happened with your brother-in-law?
Do you want me to tell you from the beginning, from that day?
Yes.
Okay, so all this time, my sister, she would complain constantly by text, do this, do that, and I'm going through depression, going through divorce, I'm grieving, I'm angry, I'm just going through a lot of emotions, and I lay in bed a lot, I'm not doing well mentally. So I wake up to messages, turn off the heater, I'm not going to pay for a high bill. And previously to that, on December 2nd, she had decided to take the Christmas decorations off of the tree, which was petty, and I just laughed it off. But then by that day, I was fed up.
She had put them on the tree?
She decorated before Thanksgiving, and then on December 2nd, she decided to take the decorations off of the Christmas tree, just the tree. And
Was the tree inside or outside?
Inside, in the living room.
So you had a tree set up in the house.
She and her husband had set it up. They decorated the whole house, inside and out.
And she took down the decorations?
Correct.
Where did she put them?
In her room on her own Christmas tree.
Was there ever a time that you took decorations and put them in front of her door?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, where did you get those decorations?
So I got up, it was about 11 a.m., and I wanted to go talk to her because she always decided she wanted to text, never actually talk to me. So she wasn't there. I'd had enough. And I got the rest of her Christmas decorations from in the living room, and I put them in front of her door. I went outside and got her Christmas decorations that were hers in the front, and I put them next to her boat on the side of the house.
You did have a Christmas tree in your room?
I did.
Okay. Did there come a time on the 8th of December or before the 8th of December that you decided to take some of those decorations off the family Christmas tree, which was in the living room, and put them on your Christmas tree in your room?
Well,
that's either a yes or a no.
Okay. Yeah, I took them off and put them in my room.
That's all. Okay, so on the 8th, you took the rest of the decorations that she had put. It sounds like a wholly uncivilized way to live. All right, get to what happened with your brother-in-law.
So she came home, saw that I had moved her decorations. When she had her children or anyone else around, then she wants to...
No.
Are you? Okay.
I recognize from listening to the two of you that this was not a good situation. I could have told you that it's hard to live with anybody else. How long had it been since you lived with your sister?
Years.
Years. And it was a stressful situation for you without 5 other children and your sister who is not happy that you're selling puppies, whatever. But I want you to tell me what happened with your brother-in-law.
Okay, I decided that instead of always locking myself in my room to distance myself, I was going to enjoy my house, my home. So I sat in the living room watching TV with my dog. He has a collar on. He's sitting next to me on the couch, and she's walking back and forth. It's about 7 p.m. She's walking back and forth, telling the kids how I need to get my ass beat, how I need to be taught a lesson. And then someone opened the front door, and one of the cats came in, and I grabbed my dog by his collar, and I said, "Come and get your cat before my dog gets it." So she's walking in and out still. She comes out of her bedroom, and she comes behind me on the couch. It's an open kitchen. She's in the kitchen area, and her husband's like walking 5 steps behind her, and he walks very closely to me, and I just freeze. I grabbed my phone to call the police. He took it out of my hand, threw it, breaking the pantry door.
Did you finally get to the police?
I did call the police.
As a result of that incident, were you granted an order of protection?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there a trial, or did the plaintiff's husband consent to the order of protection?
He showed up and requested a continuance, which was granted, and then he did not show up.
So the order of protection is, according to you, for 2 years, and it was granted on default.
It is for until 2024.
Okay, may I see that, please? You didn't want your kids to be involved in the nastiness that was going on in the house, and she didn't want her kids to be involved in the nastiness that was going on between the two of you for whatever reason.
Letitia Nichols accuses her sister, Lilia Rubio, of wrongfully evicting her and destroying her property.
Sarah, I am correct that the only person who was the subject of that protective order is your husband. Is that right?
I guess so. He never received anything, but
I don't know whether he received anything or not. He absolutely received something because he showed up in court. Was he removed from the house on that date?
He was served at his job.
No, was he removed from the house when the police came?
No, the day the police came, he was not removed from the house.
On what date was he removed from the house?
2 days later, after she filed a restraining order. I had shown the police.
Just a second. He was removed 2 days later. Where did he go?
To a motel.
You were not served with a protective order.
No, I was not.
She's the only.
Her children are on the protective order
Are
as
they?
well.
Can I see it?
Subsection 3.
Thank you. You have a 13 and 14. Your children,
Yes, ma'am.
13 and 14? Thank you. After your husband was removed from the home 2 days later, so that would be December 10th, you and the 5 children, including your 4 and your husband's 1, was still in the house?
Yes, we were still in the house. I was going back and forth, between the house and where he was at the hotel or the motel.
When you say you were going back and forth, what does that mean?
Between the house that we lived in, that we paid for, and at the room.
Okay.
And then she moved 6 people in on top of our kids, and they were on their stuff, sleeping in the beds that she said that they could sleep on. It was my parental duty to remove them from a traumatic, just everything that was going on.
Let me understand this, Ms. Nichols. You felt because it was a tumultuous relationship that you had with your sister, and you didn't feel as if your children should be involved in that tumultuous relationship and in that atmosphere, you removed yourself and the children from the house.
After a few days of going back and forth and still having to hear her say something to me, you need to move this, you need to do this, you need to do that. It was just getting to be too much. So they went to a friend's house for a few days, and they couldn't stay there forever. So we ended up having to rent 2 motel rooms. I had 2 adult children who were still in the home dealing with all this mess and all the people in the house that she moved in. And it wasn't getting any better. And they didn't want to be there either. And they're 22 and 21.
You can't tell me what they wanted. They were, in fact, there. The last of your stuff was out on December 31st. You did, in fact, you and your children lived in the house until December 31st. You weren't removed from the house. Your husband was removed from the house because a court found that the defendant was entitled to an order of protection against him to vacate the house. So the court granted that order of protection. Your case is what you describe as constructive eviction. She never forced you out of the house or locked you out of the house.
I have text messages, and I contacted a lawyer.
No. You contacted a lawyer
to get advice, to get legal advice, because I'm entitled to have a quiet. I was her tenant.
No,
to have a peace.
You are her sister, and it got to be nasty between 2 sisters, and it got to be nasty between your husband and your sister, and you had kids, and she had kids, and you didn't want your kids to be involved in the nastiness that was going on in the house. And she didn't want her kids to be involved in the nastiness that was going on between the 2 of you for whatever reason. Why do you think courts have to be involved in this? You moved with 5 children, and you moved with your husband. I assume the 2 of you are still together. Is that a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And I assume that you're happier than you were living in your sister's house.
Were we happier living with her?
I said, are you happier now living
we're
than
happier
we're
now.
living?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. So Why are you annoying all of us? Why did you contact a lawyer? I mean, I'm not following why you think everything, why some people think that everything involves a legal case. You didn't get along with your sister. Happens to be that you had 5 kids, she had 2. You have cats, she has dogs. It was a disaster looking to happen. And it was a mistake. It lasted October, November, December, you were gone. Over. Tell me what brings you to court.
What brings me to court is the fact that she was told, I have police reports of them telling her not to touch my things, and she did so anyways. We sold our furniture because she's like, oh, I have these extra beds that were her husband's kids' beds, and sell your washer and your couches, and
Well, you're a grown-up lady. You had 4 children. She doesn't tell you what to do. You're a grown-up lady. You want to move in with her and you see how it works out. You haven't lived together in years. Put your stuff in storage for a month or so and see how it's working out.
Had I known she was going to make all this money on the side, I would never agree to move in with her.
Yeah, that comes under the category of shoulda, woulda, coulda. You moved in, you knew she had dogs, you moved in, she knew you had cats, or vice versa. I still don't understand why you think everything involves a court case. Look up the term constructive eviction, would you please, for me, Sarah? I know that that's what it says here, that she constructively evicted you, which is a term that, did the lawyer say constructive eviction? Is that?
No, they tell me that the landlord could not harass you. They were not allowed to touch your property to make it unenjoyable. You're supposed to be quiet.
Yeah, quiet enjoyment.
So a situation where a landlord does not do something that they must do by law, causing the property to be labeled uninhabitable, for example, shutting off the heat or water, then a tenant has a claim against their landlord.
Okay.
She changed the password to the Wi-Fi, and she didn't shut off the water, but what we paid half of all the bills, including the Wi-Fi.
Are you happy your sister is gone?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you happy that you're gone? Yeah. Are you in a house now?
Of course.
Okay. Your case is dismissed, Ms. Nichols. We have no case. Listen, you have a counterclaim. That's nonsense. For half the utilities for the 2 months, which she didn't pay, were a couple of $100. Are you happy she's gone?
Yes, ma'am.
We're done here. Thank you.
Court's adjourned.
When I was growing up and I went into the system, she was the only one that was there for me.
She's money hungry. She's looking for a way to get money.
It takes 2 people, and it takes admitting.
Just really jealous about whatever I had that she didn't.
And I've apologized for the things that I've done.
There's no future for us.
Sarah, you have a sister who's younger than you are.
I do.
She's cute as a bug's ear. Could you imagine living with her on a full-time basis?
Be tough. It'd be tough.
It's hard to live with somebody that you love.
With anybody, let alone someone you love.
And these are 2 sisters. Certainly, the defendant didn't love her sister's husband. The fact that they were living together for economics made it even more difficult for somebody who's already under stress. The only lesson to take away from that is, before you put kids in a situation where they are going to be involved in domestic disputes, you really have to think twice. You have to say, I'd rather live in a studio apartment alone than with 10 people in a 4-bedroom. Anyway, sad. I hope they get back together again.
Are you having a family dispute? Go to judyjustice.tv. Lucinda Noble is suing her sister, Tiffany Acuna, for rent and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2109, Noble versus Acuna.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Noble, this is your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Older or younger?
Younger.
Any other siblings?
Many.
How many?
I have 5 sisters and 4 brothers.
And you have kids. How many children do you have?
I have 3 daughters.
How old are they?
18, 15, and almost 12.
And you?
I have 3 children, and they are 10,
5, and 2.
There came a time when, that was in August of 2021, according to your complaint, that you were having some housing difficulties with your children.
No, that's not true.
Well, Ms. Noble, what led you to believe that your sister was having some housing difficulty? Because you start your complaint by indicating that she was about to become homeless.
Her house that she was living in was being put up for sale.
So the house that you had been renting,
Correct.
for how long?
About 2 years. I'm not really sure. It was well
Was
over
being
a year.
sold.
Well, I didn't know that until I gave her my notice after I'd already previously asked my sister if we should move in.
So you approached her about you moving in with her.
Yes, correct.
And do you own your own home, Miss Noble?
I do.
Where you were living there alone with your 3 children?
Yes.
Okay, and how much rent were you paying?
$750.
Now, when you decided to move in with your sister, what rent was discussed?
Well, she had told me about $400 is what she wanted.
Okay, so she said the rent was $400 per month, and that was starting August 1st?
Right.
So this is what part of this case is about. Part of the case is about rent. You lived with your sister from August 1st, 2021 to a date in 2022 when you finally removed all of your property.
Kind of. I did not remove all of my property, but I removed what she allowed me to.
To remove on what date?
I'm going to say it was mid-May, but I'm not sure.
May of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So we have August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So between 9 and 10 months. For the 9 or 10 months that you were there, how many times did you pay her $400 in rent? She's going to have a list.
I have a list too of our.
And you have a list. So why don't you take a look at it and give me the exact number of months?
The time I paid her $400 was, I think, only one time, and there was other times I paid her different amounts. But our agreement was because I bought all the groceries, we just kept track on this app, which has a list. I paid way over $400 in total.
Well,
so our agreement had changed.
Just a second.
Okay.
You have an app 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
How much did you spend on that app?
12,000 something is right in here on the list.
Take a look, because you're going to show it to me.
I paid total $10,411.
Okay, and she?
She total was $11,291.
And that was to cover groceries, food, gas money.
Her phone was under mine.
This is something that I'm going to have to simplify. There came a time when there were issues with regard to you not paying her $400 a month rent, and you discussed it with her, correct? And in what month was that?
April. It was before April. It was before I had gone on vacation.
What month and year?
December of 2021.
So what I'm reading in December of 2021, you had a dispute about how much you were spending, how much you weren't spending, and that $400 was not being forthcoming just for rent. You see, I can understand that the two of you decided to split bills, everything other than the $400 in rent. You each have 3 children. You're 2 adults. Let's get to December. Was it the beginning or middle of December that you had this discussion about just pay $400 a month and we'll deal with it?
Maybe the middle.
Okay. So we have January, February, March, April, and you moved out in May.
Correct. I was kicked out illegally. Yes.
In May.
Yep.
Left in May. So that's 5 months. It was suggested by your landlord that just give me $400 a month and we'll split groceries.
In April, I have the proof of the text.
Just a second. So we have January, February, March, and April. 4 months. Did you give her $400 a month for those 4 months?
Nope, it was never discussed before then. I have the proof that it was discussed in April.
I'd like to see it.
Thank you. It was discussed in April again.
Okay, just a second. I just want to see the proof. Well, show me if you have proof of an earlier conversation.
I don't.
Believe that there was an earlier conversation. Let me see the one that occurred in April.
It was mainly the receipts.
I'm not getting involved with that at all. Right now, you had a place to live with your 3 children for much less than the $750 a month that you were paying at another residence.
Right. And I spent way more on groceries. I did all the groceries.
Whatever. Your children didn't eat more.
Right. And my children didn't live there the full time.
I don't care.
Okay. I'm sorry. Can I look on my phone? It might be faster. Is that okay if I show you the text?
I don't care where you show it to me. Just show it to me.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. I apologize. Okay, apologize. Sorry. On April 24th. So if you want, and then you can scroll down because she kind of keeps for a couple days.
Oh, that wasn't an agreement, madam. These were final acts of desperation to get you to pay $400 a month. Here.
That was the first time I'd heard, about her.
Oh, no. That wasn't the first time you heard about it.
Right.
Because the first line is $400 better be under my door.
Right.
So that's not the first time you heard about it.
Right.
That's an act of desperation. Okay, so you had this conversation with her in December, and she was there until May. And according to you, you only paid $400 once. That's $2,000. By the way, how are your children supported?
I work. Well, I work, yes.
Is that a full-time job or a part-time job?
It was part-time.
Well, you don't support yourself and your 3 children with a part-time job. Do you get any child support for them?
I did get child support for 2 of them, yes.
For 2 of them?
Mm-hmm.
How much child support do you receive?
$300.
$300 a what?
A month.
Do you get any other assistance?
Yes, I had food stamps.
Mm-hmm. Do you still have food stamps?
Yes.
How much a month?
For something, I'm not exactly sure.
And when you bought food for the household, you used the food stamps as well as your other money from your part-time job, and got it, $400. So far, you owe your sister $2,000. That's for back rent. Now, you want to go through the damages that you allege that your sister caused?
Yes. So I had 2 couches, and those went away.
What do you mean both went away? What does that mean?
She got rid of them.
While she was living there? Mm-hmm. And you knew about it? In what month?
It was when I came back from vacation. My things were gone.
I'm not following. You were supposed to be gone for 2 weeks, according to her.
No, I was gone for 3.5 weeks.
You were gone for almost a month. Mm-hmm. She was babysitting for your children.
They don't really need babysat. They're older.
Well, your 12-year-old can't live by herself without a mother for a month.
No.
Okay. And your 18-year-old does what?
She works at a hotel.
So she works during the day or at night?
She didn't at the time. She was at 17 at the time.
You're not going to leave a 17, a 14, and an 11-year-old alone for a month?
Of course not.
Okay, so they were home with your sister?
Yes.
Let's get back to the initial question. I forgot what my question was before I went off on this tangent. Couches.
The couches.
That's where we're at.
Yes.
So you went away for a month, and when you came back, couches were gone.
Couches, like the whole house had transformed into basically her house.
I don't care, basically her house. I want to know what was missing.
So the couches were missing.
Okay, which couches? Couches from where to where?
So the couch from the living room, it was a sectional, and the couch from the basement.
Living room and basement. What happened to those couches?
Oh, they were gone a long time before, and I can prove you a text of her saying that they were gone before I even moved in, actually in August. She knew, and her daughter and her boyfriend helped me load them up and take them to the dump. She, in fact, told me she was getting rid of a lot of old furniture she did not care about. I have pictures.
Just a second. What you have is proof that those 2 items were disposed of before she went away on vacation.
Way before I moved in.
Okay. Now, Miss Noble, your sister says that she has proof that those 2 couches were disposed of well before you went away on vacation. If she does, I'm not going to be happy with you. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Were those 2 couches gone before you went on vacation?
I can't recall, but I believe she wanted to make room for her furniture.
Just a second. Were those 2 couches gone before you went on vacation for a month?
I know the basement couch wasn't.
Okay. I think you're full of baloney.
She started giving my niece video games, movies, my food storage containers. She was just giving my things away.
Okay. I went to graduate school after I finished with high school for 9 years. I'm not dealing with Tupperware.
Lucinda Noble claims her sister, Tiffany Acuna, owes for rent and property damage. Tiffany is countersuing for an illegal lockout and filing a false CPS report.
Okay, let's go. Property taken without permission. What property did she take without your permission?
Okay, so
she owes you for rent.
The TV stand, she broke it and threw it under the trampoline.
What's next?
The weed trimmer, she took that. She started giving my niece my belongings while I was gone. She started giving my niece video games, movies, my food storage containers. She was just giving my things away.
Okay, she owes you for rent. I went to graduate school after I finished with high school for 9 years. I'm not dealing with Tupperware. So far, she owes you $2,000 for rent.
Okay, and then there was also the wall damage, the windows, the blinds,
just a second. Just a second. What wall damage and where?
The wall damage is from the room that she was staying in and the room that her boys were staying in.
May I see the damage that you're referring to?
Here's the one more of that, and then here's the blinds, and this was damages from her cat.
Well, this I can't see at all. Okay, so that I can't see at all. And if you're talking about nail holes, I'm not interested in nail holes where there were pictures, putty them up. I don't know what this is a picture of. Tell me.
That's where her cat clawed up the carpet to get into her room.
Did you replace the carpet?
Not yet.
Do you have an estimate for replacing or patching that carpet?
They don't make that carpet anymore.
Okay, I don't know that. How did these blinds get broken?
I'm not sure. Are those the ones that were in my bedroom or the kids' bedroom? I really don't know, to be honest. But I do feel like I remember them being broken, but I just don't remember if they were broken when I already moved in or not. I really don't know, ma'am. I mean, honestly, I knew they were broken. It's like I'm remembering, but the house, like I said, was not in a good condition when I moved in.
Okay, I'm not talking about the rest of the house.
My daughter is actually, Tiffany told her that she knew they were.
She doesn't remember. You tell me that these blinds were in good condition before she and her family moved in.
Yes.
She says she doesn't remember. I have to rely on what you say to me because that's not ordinary wear and tear.
No.
Do you have a bill for new blinds?
From Lowe's, I have the estimate of what it will cost to replace them.
Okay, I'd like to see it. You do have a cat?
Yes, I have one cat.
Okay.
She has multiple.
So we're talking about $47.98.
Times 2.
Okay. Anything else? Any other?
For 2 blinds.
I only see one.
No, those are 2 different windows.
Oh, times 2. You're right. Anything else?
I have to remove the junk that she left at my house.
I was not allowed at her house.
What else?
That's...
Okay, if you have to think that hard, then we're finished. We're moving over to the countersuit.
Okay.
Counterclaim is for an illegal lockout. Okay, let me run through this illegal lockout and dispose of it quickly. The illegal lockout that you're referring to happened when your sister, who shouldn't have, took the door off your bedroom.
Correct.
She says she took the door off your bedroom because you weren't paying close enough attention to your children.
Correct.
And I assume she's talking about the 2-year-old.
Correct.
And when she took the door off your bedroom, you called the police.
Right, yep. I called the police. I have the incident
Yup is
report.
yes. You called the police, and the police came. And when the police came on, do we have the date?
26 April.
The police arrived, and they told her she couldn't lock the door, and you were let in.
Correct.
Okay, so not egregious enough for me to have to deal with 2 sisters fighting. But the other part of your claim is that your sister filed a false CPS report.
Right.
And first, how do you know a CPS report was called in?
Well, they called me real quick.
Child Protective Services.
Right, they did call me. But first, I actually had the phone call from my sister, my witness, who's here right now, because she had pre-warned me because she had gotten the phone call from this sister saying, Lucy is going to call on you.
Okay. Do you want to step up?
Sure.
Tell me your name.
My name's Stephanie Aslett. I'm the older sister from these 2. Yeah.
When did you have a conversation with Miss Noble about the defendant's children?
The same night that the cops were called. Tiffany had called me because Lucy's daughter had crawled through the window and opened the door.
So you spoke to Lucinda?
Yes.
On April 26th?
Yes.
Did you call her or did she call you?
She had called me because she wanted to let me know that the cops had been
Do you recall that conversation?
Yes, I do.
Okay, tell me about the conversation.
She called to let me know that she was letting me know that since I was the only one probably capable or in this position to take on a child, if CPS was involved, because the 2-year-old would not be able to go to his father. He was in prison at the time. And I was like, why are you calling and telling me this? Tiffany's a good mom. What's going on? And she goes, no, she's not. I've already called CPS and forewarned them that this is happening. She needs to be taken care of.
What's happening?
Apparently there was lice on her daughter when she was at her father's house, and the 2-year-old, apparently he was running around with a wet diaper.
Who was taken to their father's house?
The daughter that had the lice was...
The daughter is the 5-year-old?
Yes. And
Okay, not the
lice
2-year-old.
Yeah. She supposedly had lice while she was at her dad's.
Went to her father's, and that was sometime in April. Is that correct?
Yes.
And got head lice.
Well, he had told me. I wasn't for sure, but I'd let my sister know just in case that she may have lice. Let's check the girls.
Okay. And your sister was home at the time?
Well, no, she was never home. Everything was over text message.
Just a second. Was that when she was away?
She was not staying at the house. She was not at the residence. She was staying at her boyfriend's house that was there.
Lucinda was staying at her
Yes.
boyfriend's house?
Yes.
Okay. And that's on the 26th?
Yes.
Is that after the police were called?
That was prior to, supposedly the lice was prior to, and that's why she had called them prior to that night. And she was letting me know that she had called them and that I needed to be prepared to take on a 2-year-old.
What did you tell her?
I asked her why she would call them, what was going on, and I said, this is ridiculous. You know that this is ridiculous? And she goes, no, it's justified. And I said, I don't understand.
Did she tell you why?
Yeah, she tried to tell me that...
well, tell me exactly what she said to you. Why is this justified?
She made the comment that
so she
Tiffany
called
has
you.
not been there.
Okay, you had to ask
My
her
words
why.
to her were, how do you know this when you're never there?
And she said?
I just know.
And gave you no more specifics?
No.
Okay, you want to tell me about that conversation?
I never said I was calling CPS. I said someone will. I know the person who did. It wasn't me.
Okay, well...
But I knew it was going to be happening.
Okay, Stephanie, let's get clear, okay? When you spoke to Lucinda and she said to you, in effect, are you prepared to take on a 2-year-old? Did she tell you that someone was calling CPS?
No, she did not. She said that she would be the one calling and that she has already contacted them because of the situation at her home.
Okay. Now, assuming you and your sister lived alone together, whether you spent time with your boyfriend, I know you have older kids, but you were away. When you were away for that month, were you staying with your boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay. And you left your kids alone, correct?
With my sister.
With your sister? Now, why would you feel comfortable about leaving your own children with your sister if you felt that she neglected her own children?
They didn't need the amount of care that a 2-year-old does.
Are you telling me that a 15-year-old doesn't need a lot of care and watching these days? Or a 12-year-old or an 11-year-old doesn't need a lot of watching and supervising? Is that what you're suggesting to me?
Not as much as a 2-year-old.
Well, one is a physical watching to make sure that it eats and drinks and is bathed periodically. The other two are far more difficult. You got to have eyes all over the place to watch a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old. Got to have your eyes on their computer. You've got to have your eyes on their iPad. You have to have your eyes on their schooling, on their homework, on their everything else. You take a month to go off with your boyfriend. That, to me, is not participating with your children, especially since you suggest that your sister, with whom you left your children, was neglecting her own children.
Your Honor, I would just like to say that I was reaching out to her a lot of the time, too, where I would get 1 week, there was nothing. She said, I'm sorry, I had no Wi-Fi. Her children were skipping school. They were not listening to me. They would not do their chores.
Do I need you to reinforce what I just said?
Right.
I don't need you to reinforce what I just said. You would have had a history with methamphetamines. You refused to meet with caseworkers, according to the report you gave me.
I have other reports, too, if I may, please.
Thank you. I'm not finished.
Lucinda Noble is accusing her sister, Tiffany Acuna, of refusing to pay for rent. Tiffany claims Lucinda wrongfully reported her to Child Protective Services.
Now, you have something you want to say?
Many things, actually.
Well, many things. I don't want many things. What I want, stand up. What I want to know is you're her daughter.
Yes.
Your first name?
Anna Noble.
Anna, what do you do?
I work front desk at a hotel.
Graduate from high school?
No.
Why?
I was pulled out and moved to Missouri.
Pulled out by whom? By your mother?
Yeah.
And when your mother pulled you out, how old were you?
17.
Had you been going to school before?
Yes.
In what jurisdiction?
It was an alternative school.
When you say an alternative school, what kind of an alternative school?
For troubled youth.
Tell me about your trouble. Was it behavior trouble? Because
It
you
was
seem
many things. I was a very wild teenager.
Until when were you a wild teenager?
Until I sent her to live with her dad.
I didn't ask you any questions. So now you can sit down.
Okay.
I'm not going into anything else. Lucinda, so far you went away for a month with your boyfriend, leaving your 3 children who you say don't need supervision. How long were you home before you took the door off her bedroom?
I got back from vacation in February, early February, and the door was removed in April for a few hours.
Okay. Do you have any proof other than this conversation that the plaintiff called CPS?
I believe it is proof, just the thing that was reported is something she would only know. Would that be considered proof?
Well,
okay.
Let me hear what was reported.
It was reported that I would not treat my child with lice. That was what the CPS report was, and it was unsubstantiated, and I have that all proved.
Okay. When your 5-year-old went to her father, she went to visit with her father, and children do get head lice. It happens periodically. Lots of children who go to school, who interact with other children, come home and they get head lice. Had a lot of children, a lot of grandchildren, and it happens. And you usually treat it. I assume that her father did not treat it. Is that right?
He did treat it. He told me immediately.
So he treated it. So how do you know that the head lice was the nature of the complaint?
That's what was on the report.
May I see it? Your children weren't removed, except for your boy.
My one son, and then that lady.
And then returned.
All 3.
Oh, yeah.
All 3 kids were taken.
That's it.
Okay. Okay. There you go, sir.
Okay, you had a prior history with Child Protective Services.
Which I was unaware.
That's either a yes or a no.
Yep, yes.
And during the course of those prior proceedings, which were relatively current Child Protective proceedings, because that was in 2021, you were clearly drug tested by the Department of Social Services or Child Protective Services.
In 2018 or 19. This was at my doctor's prior when I was, and they reported it that I had failed one of my
And at that time, well, you had an open case and you tested positive for serious drugs.
Right.
Very serious drugs. And this says that while under the influence of those drugs, you drove your children to the doctor's office while under the influence.
Right.
That's the report.
Right.
Okay. These reports all seem to indicate that they tried to see you, but you kept canceling appointments with them and were a no-show.
Well,
okay, that's what this report says. You gave me the report.
Right.
So let me understand this. After coming in and making an assessment, Child Protective Services determined to file a petition on behalf of your youngest child. Yes, they did.
Okay, yeah.
Well, after everything I read there, I think that was probably a good idea. I don't know what happened with that. I assume that the petition was ultimately dismissed if you have your children back with you.
Right away.
Do you have your children back with you?
Yeah, right away, as soon as I went to court that day.
That's okay. They determined, after they spoke to you, and irrespective of either her motivation or anybody acting on her behalf, or somebody that she knew, or her, called Child Protective Services. The question that I'm presented with, was there a basis for concern about your children?
No.
And based upon the reports that I've read here, and those are reports that you gave me, that those serious questions about what was going on with the young children in your house deserved a second look. You had had a history with methamphetamines. You had a serious weight loss. You refused to meet with caseworkers, according to the report you gave me.
I have other reports, too, if I may, please.
Thank you. I'm not finished.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Because if you've been in family court, as I was for 25 years, often incidents are called in of suspected child abuse and neglect. A caseworker goes out, takes a look, and says, you know, I'll continue to watch it, but I don't have to file a case. It hasn't reached the level where I think that I should file a case and remove a child. In this case, Child Protective Services came and tried to do an investigation, which, according to the worker, you evaded. You missed appointments, you rescheduled, you didn't show up.
One time.
And then, not one time, they also had a prior history of you involving drugs, involving driving your children under the influence of drugs. Recent history didn't happen 20 years ago. If it happened 2019, this says 21. If it happened 2019 or or 2020, that's still recent history.
Okay.
So whoever called, it was worth, according to this caseworker, they had sufficient information based upon what they saw and what they knew to remove the 2-year-old. So that part of your case is dismissed, which is the only part of your counterclaim that I was really entertaining. You owe your sister $2,096, $2,000 for rent and $48 for, I forget what it was, blinds. Thank you, we're done.
My
This court is
property,
adjourned.
We're done.
I had drug tested every month during the time that this happened, and it was like an oopsie under my doctor's supervision.
I've just helped her, and she takes advantage and takes advantage.
You don't call CPS on your sister when you're the one that took off to Africa for 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
And this whole thing wasn't about money. It just, I needed someone to tell her, look, you can't take advantage of people anymore.
She's still the outcast that everyone's upset with.
I'm not the outcast, though, but I'm definitely not helping her anymore.
So we've seen it a lot here, claims for unsubstantiated CPS reports being filed and people seeking damages for that. So I'm just wondering, do you think there was a basis? Is that why, obviously, you didn't rule in her favor on the claim of the false CPS report? So there must have been something in there that...
You know, when people use Child Protective Services as a retaliation for other behavior, that's always abhorrent. But there are some situations where CPS may be called because someone knows that there is an abuse or neglect and has not done it until the other person irritates them. Well, that's not a false CPS report. Maybe motivated by something else, but that's not a false report. And so, in this case, the defendant had a history with CPS, current history with CPS that was relatively serious. Well, then it was a good thing that CPS went.
Because that would be basis itself.
It's
for
basis
the claim.
itself, basis itself.
That alone. And just because she was cleared at the end of the day and has her children back now doesn't mean that it was an unsubstantiated claim.
Oh, no, they're watching.
Yeah.
They're watching, and they should be watching. I don't think any of them are bargains. The 18-year-old daughter who was here, who was a troubled child, according to her, and never graduated from high school, although she's working, because her mother moved her around also a lot, was certainly an inadequate caretaker for the other 2 younger children. She goes off for a month with her boyfriend. It's amazing how some children just grow up by themselves. Sometimes it works out okay. I don't know, somehow I felt sorry for all of those kids, that they're not getting all the loving and nurturing that they should.
Hopefully, maybe after today, she turns it around.
Annabelle Barone is suing her ex-boyfriend, Asael Arteaga, for a loan.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2060, Barone versus Arteaga.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Barone, case is not a very difficult one. You met Mr. Arteaga?
Arteaga.
Take your hands out of your pockets. At a bar?
Yes.
When?
Back in June of 2021.
Did you ever live together?
No.
You always maintained your own residence and he his?
Yes, the apartment I owned was always underneath my name.
But he never lived there?
No.
Good. But you bought a car?
Yes.
In what month and year did you buy a car?
I ordered a Tesla back in, if I'm not mistaken, May. And
May of what year?
May of 2021.
Was it a new car?
Yes.
Give me a rough number. How much was it?
Out the door, $72,000.
And what color did you order?
Black.
This is what the case is about, and it's going to take me very, very little time to resolve the case. You ordered the $72,000 car in black, and because of whatever strange reason, you wanted the car wrapped. Now, I think most people know what that means, and I think I know what that means. That means you take a perfectly good car and you put a different finish on it. Is that what it means?
Yes.
You buy a car that has a nice, shiny finish and looks clean, and then you put something on it that, I don't know, looks like it's been sitting out under a volcano.
I guess you could say that.
What?
I guess you could say that.
I just did. And that cost money. It cost an additional, I think, according to the papers that I read, $3,800.
No, it's $3,950.
How much?
$3,950.
And you had some of that money, but you gave him, transferred to him, $1,800 on your credit card.
Yeah, so it was an agreement made between...
No, I didn't ask you. I didn't. You transferred to him $1,800 towards this wrap on his car.
I made the payment for him
You made the payment for him on a credit card.
Yes.
And according to you, your arrangement was that he would pay you back monthly $100.
Correct.
You don't dispute that.
She offered.
Yeah, she offered. And you did, in fact, on 3 separate months, pay her back $100.
Yes.
And that means that in your view, it was a loan.
Well, it was more of a gift.
Well, then why would you pay her back $100 a month, Mr. Artiega?
Because our finances are much different.
What do you mean
I was getting a car. I ordered a car, so it was a gift for me. Because she already knew that I was looking for a PPF, which is a paint protection film. So I'm more...
Listen to me.
Yeah.
You're not answering my question. You're doing a dance around my question. If it was a gift to you, this $1,800 towards the wrap for your car, why did you pay her back $300?
To help her out.
Yeah. And then you stopped, because that sounds ridiculous. You still have the Tesla?
I still do.
Yes. You making payments on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. What kind of work do you do?
I'm an electrical superintendent.
Expensive car.
Indeed it is.
You're a single guy?
Yes.
That's what single guys do with their money. Tell me why you stopped paying her back, Mr. Artiega.
Things got sour very quick.
So things got sour with the relationship?
Yes.
Okay. And is that when you stopped paying her?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500 is what he owes you for the balance of the loan. Thank you. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
We broke up. It was a nasty breakup. There was bad feelings and tensions between the both of us.
It was a bad breakup, yes, but there's a lot more details to it.
It was just out of pettiness at the end of the day.
Because she caused a lot of rifts.
I'm just not going to loan out money to just anyone from here on out.
I'm glad it's over.
And I'm really happy I get my $1,500 back.
Now that we've been here for a little while and I've been learning from you and all these cases that we've seen, still, rule number 1, never give a boyfriend money and expect to ever see it again. You will never see it again. It gets messy, it gets entangled, and we see it time and time again. So it's just hits even harder at home.
Have you noticed, Sarah, that it's probably 80-20 that women give money to boyfriends?
At least what we've seen here, yes.
You know, and if this is a microcosm of the world, and I don't know what that is, I haven't been able to figure it out. I've been doing this kind of business for 30 years, and I can't figure out why. Perfectly lovely young woman, guy's buying a $72,000 car and says, hey, babe, I'm short $1,800. Well, if you're short $1,800, buy a cheaper car.
Yeah.
You know, there are cars that cost less than $72,000. Anyway.
But women should be smarter and not agree to do
that. They ought to make mandatory watching these cases as part of a growing up process.
A lot of great life lessons, for sure.
Case 2073, Joseph versus Williams. All parties, please step forward.
Donnell Joseph is suing his niece, Tina Williams, and his sister, Martha Williams, for personal property.
Mr. Joseph, these two ladies are your half-sisters?
My half-sister and her daughter, my niece.
So, what's your first name?
Martha Williams.
Martha is your half-sister.
Yes.
And your first name?
Tina.
Tina is your niece.
Yes.
And you and Martha have the same mother.
Yes.
Your mother had a house. The house was in her name. Your mother passed away in the early 70s.
Yes.
At that time, she was married to your father, not your father. Correct? No. And your father lived in the house until he died.
Yes.
And he died in what year?
2018.
Somehow the house, which had been in your mother's name, never went through a probate process. So as far as the law was concerned, the house remained in her name. It never went to her surviving spouse or her children when she passed away in the early 70s. What I'm reading is when your father passed away in 2018, the house sort of remained vacant for a while. For how long?
Since he passed away.
So nobody has lived there?
Correct.
And you knew your father passed away, I assume?
Yes.
And you knew your mother passed away?
Yes.
And after your mother passed away, she passed away in 1971 and 1972? Did you ever visit with your father in that house?
I visited with my father. I lived in the house.
From when to when?
Well, I lived in the house 1963 until like 72, and I started moving out. But I would still go back to the house because it's my family home.
I want to know the last time, Mr. Joseph, you lived in the house.
1993.
So almost 30 years ago. And where have you been the last 30 years?
I've been in New York. I've been incarcerated.
You've been incarcerated from when to when?
93 to 2012.
So 1993 is when you last lived in the house.
Correct.
But you were released from prison in 2012.
Yes.
So for the last 10 years, you have not been back to the house.
I've been back to the house, but not living there as a resident.
Okay. So for 10 years.
Right.
As an adult, how old are you?
I'm 64.
As an adult, from age 54 to 64, you had access to the house, visited your father in the house.
Right.
Not before then.
Right.
Okay. And you haven't lived there full-time in decades.
Correct.
This is what your lawsuit wants. You had 10 years after you were released from prison to go and get these treasures, and you didn't do it.
Because my father's house was like the treasure of all his children's property. As long as he has...
As long as he had a bicycle or a Boy Scout book. Let's start being real.
Okay.
Donnell Joseph claims his niece, Tina Williams, and his sister, Martha Williams, threw away his personal belongings. Tina and Martha are countersuing for the cost of a cleaning crew.
Your lawsuit is seeking $10,000.
Yes.
Because, according to you, the defendants disposed of your property that was invaluable. And I'm going to describe the property that you say was invaluable. A 1911 Boy Scout handbook.
Yes.
That you treasure.
Yes.
You should have taken it out of the house in 30 years if you treasured it. A mountain bike, purchased in what year?
Was it 71 to 72, around there? I know it was a 3-spirit, 10-speed I got. That was in 1970 in the Univega.
You wanted it, this 50-year-old mountain bike? You should have taken it over the last 10 years. A vintage reel-to-reel tape player.
Yes.
You know how many of those I threw in the trash? Do you have any idea how many of those I threw in the trash? You got those a half a century ago. Oh my God, I remember them, big reels, and how excited we were. You could talk into a microphone, and then you could hear your voice come back, and then all of a sudden you got a phone. You could do that, the same thing. So everybody took these things, and they couldn't find enough places to dispose of them. It's not vintage anything. It's a piece of trash.
Can I speak, Your Honor?
About what?
Okay, the reel-to-reel tapes, right? Some of the tapes had speakings of my brother and Martha's daughter.
Then you should have taken them with you. In 40 years, if they were treasures of yours, sir, and you're 64 years old, I would want those treasures around me. And you had 10 years after you were released from prison to go and get these treasures. And you didn't do it. You just left them in your father's house.
Because my father's house was like the treasure of all his children's property. This is how we connected to our father, because everybody has left, everybody has died. So as long as he has...
As long as he had a bicycle, as long as he had a bicycle or a Boy Scout book.
The Boy Scout book was handed down to me through my father's.
Let's start being real.
Okay.
Okay, let's start being real.
Okay.
And the first draft of my published manuscript.
Yes.
Why didn't you take that with you?
For safekeeping, I let my father hold it because
Well, that's not a good idea, sir. How old was your father when he passed away?
Oh, he was 88, but my father's mind was sharp as a tack. He kept everything.
If you wanted it, your father passed in 2018, is that what you're telling me?
I couldn't get nothing out of the house, so...
I don't know whether you could or whether you couldn't. When did you make just a second. When did you make an effort to remove your forget about the bike, forget about reel-to-reel tape recorder, forget about the nonsense. Your manuscript. When did you write this manuscript?
I wrote it over a couple of years. It's the first draft of this book.
It's the first draft of that book?
This book.
Well, now you have the book.
But I needed to draft it because the other draft I'm working on the second book that goes along with this book, I don't have certain notes and things that I had.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yes, it doesn't.
It doesn't exist anymore. Okay. And if you wanted it, you should have gotten it. In 2018, when your father died, you were out of prison. Where were you living?
I was living in New York.
And where did your father live?
He lived in Los Angeles.
Between 2012 and 2018, how many trips did you make to visit with your father?
About 3.
And when did you publish that book?
2015.
So you published that book during your father's lifetime.
Yes.
And if you needed the manuscript, you came to visit your father. A manuscript, it's this big. That's how big a manuscript is.
Yes.
Where were you living in New York?
In Albany.
You have your own apartment or your own home?
House.
Do you own or rent?
Own.
When did you purchase it?
My wife, we bought it together. It was in 2009.
So you're married?
Yes.
Have children?
No.
So you and your wife purchased a house in 2009. How much did you pay for the house?
$109,000.
Are you still living there?
Yes.
So you had plenty of room in the house. You had plenty of room for a manuscript, tapes, a manuscript that you were working on. You weren't working on the manuscript long distance. What I'm telling you, Mr. Joseph, is the things that you're suing for are nonsense.
Okay.
If things that you wanted, that a grown-up man, 64 years old, gets if he wants them, it's not that you're homeless, you have a home that you purchased. You went to visit your father 3 times, anything of value. We're not talking about furniture and antiques and a grandfather clock. We're talking about things that can fit in a tissue box. Yes. You put them in your suitcase and take them with you if they're valuable.
I couldn't visit California before that because of the conditions of my parole. So the times that I could go, I can go out there, and I had to have.
You told me you went out there 3 times.
Yes.
When your father was alive.
When I had permission to go. So I couldn't, after my father passed away, I couldn't go in the house because that would violate the probate thing. So I had permission to go into the house.
You're not understanding me, Mr.
Okay.
Joseph. You're not understanding me. You went there 3 times after you were out of prison, after you had a home, after you were married. When you went there with a suitcase, don't tell me violating your parole unless you told me that. And in the suitcase should have been when you returned from California to New York, small things of value that you say were invaluable to you, including a manuscript. Forget the bicycle. Forget the tape-to-tape reel recorder. The tapes that you say were precious to you, if they belong to you, put them in a suitcase. So there's a lot more about this that I don't quite understand. There's a lot about this that I don't quite understand. When your father passed away, who got the house?
The house is...
Your father passed away, what happened to the house?
The house is still in probate.
Oh,
so
okay.
during the probate thing, I had to have permission to take anything out of the house.
Forget, I'm telling you, I've answered your lawsuit, sir.
Okay.
I've answered your lawsuit.
Thank you.
That you're a 64-year-old man, and if something that could fit in a tissue box was that precious to you when you visited your father and you had a home, you would have taken it with you when you left.
Certain things I couldn't take.
This is not a tea dance.
The property has lost this, but I lost a sister in this process.
He said he was.
And it makes no difference of how this go. I lost a sister.
This isn't the probate court. So I would suggest that you all take a deep breath and say, whatever it is, let it be finished.
Donnell Joseph claims his niece, Tina Williams, and his sister, Martha Williams, threw away his personal belongings. Tina and Martha are countersuing for the cost of a cleaning crew.
I asked you if the house is still in probate, which is unfortunate because people didn't take care of the business. Who are the beneficiaries of the sale of the house?
Me, my sister LaWanda, my half-brother Justin Joseph, my sister Sherry's 2 sons.
Okay, let's try to clarify this. Are you the executor of the will?
There's no will. My mom's the administrator of the probate.
And I just got to be administrator. We had to go back and forth to court. We had no way of getting in and out of the house because we had no keys.
Okay. And your father, I assume, had no will?
He had no will.
What's the value of the house?
Well, we don't know because since Martha became the administrator,
Just a second. What's the address of the house?
My mom had the house appraised at $250,000.
She's going to tell me.
So the off-market says it's approximating $464,000. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath, 858 square feet.
And the estimate?
The range is between $400,000 and $515,000.
Ooh, well, the family has a valuable asset that has yet to be divided after all this time. It's a good lesson for everybody out there. Make a will. Now you can tell me.
Thank you. My grandma, which is their mother, she bought the house on her own with my mom's last name, which is her dad's statement. It's her maiden name, who she was married to. We don't know if they were married. That's what we're going through in probate. It's a process, but the beneficiaries would be Donnell, my mom, and 2 heirs of a deceased sibling. Donnell has also been in jail for most of my life. He hasn't been to California at all, so I wanted to back that up as well.
Well, he's not entitled to anything.
Okay.
If he wanted these items that were valuable to him, he should have taken them during his 64 years.
The most safest place that I had in the world for my valuables
Well, that's
to be
too
held
bad.
was
If
my
you
father.
own a home in New York with your wife and you had an opportunity to take these valuable things because you said you visited with your father after 2009, then you should have taken them. And don't tell me it was the safest place because...
Not only the safest thing, but my father, he lost 2 sons. And the only thing that he had in his house is the things that was left over from his children. And to take anything that was of value away from his children would have hurt my father. So the safest place for all our property.
Mr. Joseph, you don't think you're going to prison hurt your father?
Yes.
Okay, let's
That's why I changed my
real.
life around.
Let's get real. Okay, you're not getting any money here.
Okay.
You're going to wait for probate, and in the probate procedure, which hopefully won't take forever, but it clearly can because people are irresponsible and don't create a will, it is likely that you will have part of the proceeds of this house. Likely. Only because if your mother passed away, and if she was in fact married to your father or lived with him at that time in California, if there was a common law relationship and they did have children together, then you as an offspring would be entitled, if there was no will, to part of the proceeds of this house.
Yes. When she bought the house, she bought it as a married woman. So once she didn't buy it as a single property.
That's something, Mr. Joseph, you don't have to convince me of. You have to convince the probate judge of.
Okay.
You also have a counterclaim that's ridiculous, and I'm not entertaining it. It's really just stupid. Stay with probate. When is the probate proceeding supposed to be finished?
Well, we're going through mandatory settlement.
One thing I want to say, Your Honor, however this probate is, I wanted to, the property has lost this, but I lost a sister in this process.
He said he was.
And it makes no difference of how this go. I lost a sister. My niece, she's something else, but I love my sister.
This isn't the probate court, Mr.
I love
Joseph.
my sisters.
This is not the probate court, Mr. Joseph. And I suggest that if you love your sister...
She know I love her.
Just a second. If you love your sister, and you're
I don't know how
64
she
years
could do
old...
this to me
and you're 64...
when you know I love you.
Shh. Mr. Joseph. Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
I know you can get emotional in situations where family is involved, and your sister clearly is sick because she's using oxygen.
Well, I just had liver surgery.
Mr. Joseph, what I'm telling you is, if you have an opportunity in the probate court, I'm actually telling this to both you and Miss Williams, if you have an opportunity at your age and your stage to settle something that gives each of you something, maybe less than you would get if somebody was disinherited. But at this stage in life, at 64 years old, somebody who just had liver surgery and someone who must rely on oxygen in order to breathe, my common sense tells me that what you do is not to give the whole thing away to lawyers who are there sucking up whatever profits there are going to be in this house. Because if the house is worth $200,000, you're going to get a bill for $140,000 for the probate administrator, for the lawyers, and you're going to wind up with zippity-doo-dah. So I would suggest that you all take a deep breath and say, whatever it is, let it be finished. You have no case, Mr. Joseph. Rely on the probate system. I wish you good luck. I said your countersuit's ridiculous. And I'm dismissing.
I have proof.
I want to tell you something. Your countersuit for having to rehire somebody to move is ridiculous. I'm telling you, rely on the probate court. We are done here.
Would you please let me present my countersuit?
No, I read it. I read it. I'm dismissing it on its face. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
All I can say is I love my sister.
Just the same thing that's happening, nothing.
Whether it's a probate thing or not, that ain't gonna never change.
I don't want to hear anything else.
I'm always loving because that's my sister.
Let the probate court decide it.
You know, at 25, after doing season 1 of this show, I created and executed a will because this is a situation we've seen far too many times, and it's so unfortunate to see the breakdown of a family over something that could have been prevented had the mother, father, grandfather, grandmother created a will when they were alive to tell the rest of us how they'd prefer their property to be disposed of.
It's fascinating to me that Their mother is gone for 50 years. And for 50 years, that title to that house, which is a,
Never got flagged, never was.
Nobody ever thought about it.
Yeah.
And the father lived there for 40 years.
Must have at least paid the taxes and maintenance
because
on it.
Absolutely. And then he's gone, and everybody is in this awful state of limbo. And you know what it is with all those siblings and half-siblings and grandchildren and whatever. Even if the house, she says she had it appraised for $250. You looked it up, and
It was much more, but it's hard to tell.
$400,000. But even if it is, and it has to be divided with 6 people, that's a substantial chunk of money, but it doesn't look like for either one of them it's life-altering money. He lives in a home, he has a wife, he looks as if he's okay since he's been released from prison, but he has health issues. His sister has health issues, and they're going to spend the last years of the
stressed, worried about this probate,
angry. I mean, I saw how emotional Mr. Joseph got. I love my sister. Well, if you love your sister, then you don't sue her.
Yeah.
I don't understand it anyway. Your advice is solid and sound.
Yeah.
Kenneth Bearden is suing his customer, Zach Thompson, for the balance of a puppy.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2044, Bearden versus Thompson.
Mr. Bearden.
Yes, Your Honor.
It is your claim that the defendant owes you the balance of a dog that you sold to him.
Correct, Your Honor.
That's what the case is about. Defendant says he doesn't really think he got what he bargained for, and while he has no intention of returning the dog to you, he doesn't want to pay the balance.
Yes.
Be a yes. So I have a couple of questions, because it's not a terribly difficult case. You say in your complaint that you are a breeder of full-blood tricolor bullies.
Correct. Bully breed, American bullies, and these are tricolor American bullies, which have 5 different distinctions within the American bully breed.
I don't want you to try to confuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Any more than I'm confused about this.
Yes, ma'am.
Is an American bully a pit bull?
No, I have proof.
Shh. It is not.
It is not.
What is it a combination of?
Yes, it is a combination of.
Well, I know it's a combination of, but it's been recognized by the American Kennel Club as an independent breed of dog. But that is only recently. What is the American bully a combination of?
Honestly, can I read what I have?
No, if you'd say I don't, listen to me.
Yeah,
I know it's very, very hard for
Yeah.
men to say 3 words. I don't know. Somehow they can say, I love you, I hate you, get out of my parking space, you're snoring. They can say a whole bunch of things, but they have trouble saying those 3 words.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know.
I fully own that. Yes, ma'am.
I
don't know.
Don't know. Well, Sarah, look it up.
Will do.
American bully.
Says that originally standardized and recognized as a breed in 2004 by the American Bully Kennel Club.
2004. So if it's recognized a breed in 2004, it's got to be a mix of something.
So the American Bully was started by crossing the American Pit Bull Terrier with other dogs in the Bully breed family, and sometimes dogs outside of the Bully breed family. But it's become its own breed.
It's become its own breed, but started with the American Pit Bull. That's what that says. Do you want her to read it again?
So there's also bully dogs are descendants from the crosses between ancient bulldogs and a variety of British terriers. And this says an American bully was started by the crossing of the American Pit Bull Terrier with dogs in the other bully breed family.
And ultimately, it was recognized as a breed unto itself, although I don't understand how that could happen. If you're a cross between one breed, the American Pit Bull, and a variety of other dogs, you know, that's like a golden doodle. That's like a golden retriever and a poodle. Isn't that what a golden doodle is?
I believe so.
But it's not a breed unto itself. It's a cross between a couple of dogs, so it takes many years. And this sounds to me, at least, Mr. Bearden, as the bullies that you're describing that you breed, the genesis of that breed is an American Pit Bull with a variety of other things. Could be a boxer.
It could also, like the father, it could be a Rottweiler. Like the father of the puppies that he got, he has all the markings of a Rottweiler, but he has the head shape and body style that represents more of the Pit Bull style.
So that's information that I am now at least a little armed with. So now I'm going to come back to you. You're the breeder. And you said the puppies, that the litter that you sold Tim, one of the puppies, has Rottweiler in it.
No, I'm not saying that it has Rottweiler. I'm saying that the physical representation of it, the markings, the brown over the eyes, the brown here, that's what the dad looks like. The puppies don't look like that.
Just a second. So you bred the dogs. What breed is the father?
The father is American Bully. He's considered an XL American Bully.
The father is an American Bully. In the father's history, it appears, based upon the look of the dog, is this what I'm understanding?
Yes.
It's a Rottweiler. In the history of the dog.
Yeah, it could possibly, yes. That's why he looks like that now, yes.
It could possibly be a gerbil, but a gerbil doesn't have distinctive markings. What you're telling me is the dog has the distinctive markings of a Rottweiler, but the body of a pit bull.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, what a combo.
He's beautiful. He's a beautiful dog.
They're beautiful dogs. Both of those dogs, by the way, will not be covered by most insurance policies. Pit bulls and Rottweilers. You do know that.
Yes.
Say yes loud.
Yes,
so
yes, I know that, yes.
Okay. Did you know that?
I did not.
Well, it's interesting. Do you own your own home?
Yeah.
Yes is an answer.
Yes.
Do you have homeowners insurance?
Yes.
In your application for homeowners insurance, they would ask you what kind of dog you have, if you have any. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Did you write down what kind of a dog you had?
I didn't have a dog at the time.
I want you to read over your homeowner's policy, wherever you live. Who are you covered by?
Not exactly sure.
What do you mean not certain? You don't know who your homeowner's policy is with?
It's all in the bill.
What
It's all paid for, one yearly fee.
You mean for your car, for your home,
Yes.
everything else? I would check, sir. If you own your own home, did you have a lot invested in your home?
Yes.
I would take a look, because many insurance companies now will not insure or charge an extra premium, if they would insure, homes that have, as part of their household, certain breeds of dogs. I am telling you, and he knows it, that pit bulls and Rottweilers are in that group.
Yep.
So if something happens and your dog bites somebody and they will sue you, and you'll say, well, I have homeowners insurance, your policy might just disclaim.
That's why I didn't want a pit bull.
What do you think you got?
A pit bull.
You got an American Bully, and it's not so hard to look up. You do have a tablet or something?
A bully, when you look it up, it actually is American Bulldog and a Stanford Terrier. It's not...
an American Bulldog and a Staffordshire Terrier. You know what Staffordshire Terrier is.
Yeah.
What is it?
I mean, it's pit bull.
Right, that's what it is. Everybody tries to use different language because they want to get away from that. It's a bully, it's a terrier, it's a something else. But bottom line, that's what it is. And you know that's what it is, whether it's a half or a quarter. You know it's listed among those breeds that the insurance company is not going to cover you for. And you have knowledge of that. You got to be careful. So it was your understanding that you were purchasing from the plaintiff a what?
A full 100% bully.
There's no 100% bully. There is no 100% bully. You just told me a bully is a mix between a...
After so long, it's considered a full bully. That's from my understanding.
That's not what that says. It says, among other things. You really have to be more vigilant. Don't tell me what your friends told you. Don't tell me what they did. Don't tell me what they said. He told you that he was selling you an American Bully.
Dog breeder Kenneth Bearden claims his customer, Zach Thompson, owes for the balance of a puppy. Zach says he did not receive the full-blooded American Bully he purchased.
Okay, tell me when and under what circumstances Mr. Thompson purchased this puppy from you.
Yes, Your Honor. On April 28th, the defendant reached out to me. He was stating his name. Sorry. He was stated his name and that his daughter was playing with a puppy of a friend of his, and that friend of his had bought one of the puppies from my litter. She fell in love with the dog. She loved it. He wanted to come by and possibly get another puppy.
How old's your daughter?
7.
If I could do that thing that some people do and, you know, cross their eyes on purpose, I would do that for you. Now, is this your only child?
Yes.
Okay.
After he reached out to me, we exchanged numbers and spoke for a few days over Facebook Messenger. I gave him my number. We had a conversation on the phone about prices, about the breed, and payments, because he reached out to me originally stating that, hey, I don't have that full amount that you would be asking for.
Just a second, could I see text messages where you've discussed the price?
Yes, ma'am.
And where you agreed on a price?
Well, no, that was, so we agreed on a price verbally. The text messages is where I sent him my number. Right after I sent him my number, that's when we had the conversation about prices and payments.
Let me see what you...
Yes, ma'am. Do you want text messages and the Facebook messages?
Yeah.
Okay. It's
read any.
quite a bit. It's all in order from front to back. From
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Just about the price of the dog, please.
Well, like I said, Your Honor, the price of the dog was a verbal
I understand that. The initial discussion that you had with him, you told him what you wanted for the dog.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Mrs. Thompson, and you wrote, I told him I would even take the runt if you're willing to help me get a puppy for my daughter. Right. Okay. How old was the puppy when the puppy was delivered to Mr. Thompson?
They were right at 2 months and 2 weeks, I believe.
So about 10 weeks old.
Yeah, they were born February 20th. This was May 1st when they were.
Do you have a contract with him other than over the phone?
When he came there that morning?
It's just that's either a yes or a no.
No.
You do not have a written contract.
The only contract that we have is of him giving me his ID, letting me take a picture of it because I didn't have any print or ink at the time.
You don't have a contract with him?
No.
Are you a married guy?
No, Your Honor.
Yeah. You know, how did I know that? Because you talk a lot. Most married guys don't talk so much. They answer 2 or 3 words, and that's it. Do you live alone?
Yes, it's just me and my son.
How old is your son?
He's 12.
And how many of these dogs do you have roaming around?
I have 2.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, the plaintiff delivered the dog to you. You had no written contract with him. You just agreed to take the dog at a certain price, correct?
Correct.
He agreed to sell you the dog, and you discussed he got this much with papers, this much without, but he was willing to work with you without papers, correct?
Yes, correct.
So you were getting a dog without AKC papers for how much?
$500.
$500.
$100 down.
Just a sec. What?
$100 down and then $100 every 2 weeks until it was paid off.
So you gave him the $100?
Yes.
And then you never paid him any more?
Well, before the next payment was even there, I questioned him about being a full bully, because everybody kept telling me it wasn't a full bully because I have multiple friends that...
Don't tell me what your friends told you. Don't tell me what they did. Don't tell me what they said. He told you that he was selling you an American bully.
Yep.
Without papers.
Yes.
So that you weren't going to use this dog for any breeding purposes.
Yes, they planned.
Because you don't have papers, and that would be sort of foolish for you.
Yeah.
Did your daughter fall in love with the dog? Got the dog that she wanted, right?
Yeah, she
a little
picked it
female
out.
called
Zoe.
Zoe.
Yeah, she picked her out.
Your Honor,
And she
I disagree with that also.
What?
When he originally arrived that morning, he was trying to get a different dog. He wanted a certain one.
Just a second. Your daughter picked this dog out.
Correct.
You disagree with that?
The daughter and him both wanted a different dog at first.
We had our minds set on a certain puppy before we got there. When we showed up, the puppy that we wanted was getting taken by another people that she...
So your daughter picked another puppy?
Yes, yes.
Correct.
Let's not make this harder than it is. She picked the one that she was happy with.
Yeah.
And she's still happy with it.
Yep.
And she likes it.
Yes.
You wouldn't take it away from her.
No, I would not.
You wouldn't give it back to him.
No, I would not.
Then you have to pay for it.
Well, I would have.
What is so hard about that?
Well, he lied about the shots. He never sent me proof of the first
Just a
shot.
second. You have a contract. That's if you're going to pay. He says $750. You say $500. Whether it's $750 or $500, what you're supposed to have if you're a breeder is a written contract. If that's what you do, you have a written contract. I always have a contract when I buy puppies. The breeders, reputable breeders, demand it. They say that they guarantee the health of the puppy for a certain period of time. You can take the dog to have it checked by a vet within a certain period of time. It says whether the puppy had its first shots or second shots or had no shots. It says all that. That's it. Other than that, I don't remember what these contracts said, but I bought many, and they are pretty much standard. Yeah. You bought a dog for either $750 or $500 that you didn't pay for, and now you have a bunch of excuses. Did you take the dog to a vet and have the dog tested as to its heritage?
I have not.
Well, then you can't tell me what your friend said to you. Whether your friend said that looks like, it doesn't look like, I don't know what it looks like, that's not relevant. If he's saying to you, this is an American bully, and you've had the dog professionally tested, the DNA of that dog tested, and it turns out that it's a cacophony of things, which clearly it is because it's a mix of things. What do you have to pay for the dog? You ate the steak. You don't want to give it back. The only question is, how much did you make an arrangement to pay? You say it was $750.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is you have any paperwork to show that?
I do not, Your Honor. Like I said, when he left, I have them contracts. I didn't have any more printer ink. He had to leave and be somewhere else. That's when I asked to go ahead and take a picture of his ID, and I plan to get the contract at a later date.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
was he originally asking for $1,000 for the dog?
He never originally asked me for $1,000.
No, but is that what your friend paid for his dog?
I don't know what my friend paid for the dog, but I know that he was having trouble selling him, so he marked down the price. I have a Facebook post where he actually, on his own Facebook, before I'd even...
Oh, do you have what?
I don't have it printed out. I have it on my phone. I'm willing to
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see it. Does it list a price on it?
It's don't have a price. It just talks about where he's willing to sell them and work with people on deals and stuff because he couldn't sell them this before I even before I ever met the guy.
Okay, well, so do you acknowledge that you posted that, sir? That you were willing to make deals with people because you were having difficulty getting rid of the puppies? You're going to pay him the balance of $400 now because you have the dog. Do you understand? A bully isn't a full-bred dog. A bully has a lot of other things in it. Do you understand?
Dog breeder Kenneth Bearden is accusing his customer, Zach Thompson, of refusing to pay the balance on an American bully puppy. Zach says he didn't receive the purebred he was promised and tried to return the dog.
And do you acknowledge that you posted that, sir? That you were willing to make deals with people because you were having difficulty getting rid of the puppies?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I'd like to see his...
Make it a little brighter.
Because you say here that you usually sell them $2,000 with papers and $1,000 without.
Yes.
Okay.
And my
Just a second.
Facebook...
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor.
5 pups left and needing good homes. These are full-blooded American tricolor bullies. Please help us find them homes. I'm willing to negotiate and rediscuss price payment at any point. Okay, so you're willing to work with anybody?
Exactly.
Okay, so when you had a conversation with him, tell me what price you arrived at.
We arrived at $750, and when we spoke, he told me that he would give me $100 every week. And also in our text messages, it also states where he mentioned if his taxes came, he would pay me in full.
Okay, but you talked about pay $100 every week.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
In my messages, there's a few times where I reference $500, and he never says, well, it's $750, not $500.
Okay, can I see those?
Yeah.
I'd like to see them.
In that message...
No, just,
and we also talked...
Shh. Just give me the message.
Okay. Here's the one that states 500 right here.
Yeah, I believe that the price you negotiated was $500 because the only one of the litigants that has any messages, that has any number in it, is the defendant, who talks, at least on 2 occasions, of the fact that he doesn't want to pay $500 for a mixed-breed dog. And there's nothing in it that says, sir, it wasn't $500, it was $750. You gave me $100, so you still owe me $650. That's what the response should have been, and you didn't do that, sir. So
I would have had no problem paying the $500 if it was a full bully. No problem at all.
you're going to pay him the balance of $400 now because you have the dog.
Okay.
Do you understand? A bully isn't a full-bred dog. A bully has a lot of other things in it. Do you understand?
Well,
and you want to keep the dog.
No, I wanted to bring the dog back. He said I could bring the dog back, and then he wrote back and said, okay, I could bring it back.
I just asked you a question. You want me to have her read it back to me? You just said...
I don't want to bring the dog back now.
Well, now is what we're talking about. Now is where we are.
It's 4 or 5 months now my daughter has fell in love, but the first 10 days, I did ask to bring it back. He said, okay.
Right now, we're not in the first 10 days. Right now, we're here. I asked you a question. Do you want to give him the dog back?
If that's what it takes, yes.
You ready to take the dog back?
I do not want to. Once we sold the animal,
Well, if he says that there is no proof that this litter was a full-blooded American bully, and you have the American Kennel Club records that show that it is, because you must have registered the litter. That's what happens, Mr. Bearden, when you have a full-blooded dog. You register the litter, and then if you're selling it with papers, the new owner will register the dog with the AKC in their name. So all you have to do now is show me the registration for that litter. No, that's either a show me or I don't have it.
I do not have that, Your Honor. Because there was no reason. That's why the puppies were $2,000 with papers and $1,000 without. There's no reason going the extra mile. That's why they have the $2,000 option of me taking that headache off their shoulder.
No. That's a lot of who shot John, sir. If you are a breeder, that's what you identify yourself as. I am a breeder of.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? And clearly you are a breeder of because he saw puppies from another litter of yours, which drove him and his daughter to contact you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So if you're a breeder, you register that litter so that if you want to sell it, a puppy with papers, you've already registered that litter. Either you can use it or not. Do you understand what I'm saying? You would know exactly what I'm saying,
That's
Mr.
the
Beard.
normal process of things,
Okay.
yes.
And right now, Mr. Thompson, at this point, I agree that you agreed to pay $500 for the dog and gave him a $100 deposit.
Yes.
Which means you owe him $400.
He said I could bring the dog back at one point because I wanted to bring the dog back because I didn't think it was the dog I wanted.
I'm talking about now.
Yes, I know, but and then
he said no.
And then he said no 2 days later, and then he said he's going to take me to court, or he threatened me and said he's going to have someone come get the money out of me if not. And then that's when I stopped responding. After he threatened me, I stopped responding, and that was before our first initial payment. That was within the first 10 days, and it wasn't even in the 14 days yet when I was going to make my payment.
Did you pay him?
No, I didn't.
$100?
I paid him $100, yes.
Yes, I'm talking about $100.
Yes, I did.
So what do you want me to do today? Either
I don't think he deserves nothing. He lied about the breed.
No.
He never sent me shots.
No.
He lied about those.
Yeah, just
and
a second.
And then he threatened me.
Do you want to return the dog to him, or do you want to pay him the $400?
I'll return the dog to him.
Fine. He's returning the dog to you.
And
You understand?
I paid all the vet bills.
Just a second.
Vet bills.
I don't care, but I will prepare an order that within 5 days of today, you will deliver the dog back. He delivered the dog to you?
No,
You will.
I went to his house, picked it up.
You went to his house? Great. How far do you live from each other?
30 minutes, probably.
Is there a police precinct in the middle? Because I don't want this done at anybody's house. What police precinct is closest to you, sir?
It'd be Bullitt County Police Department.
That's where you will meet 5 days from today. What's a good time for you?
4 p.m., 5 p.m.
What's a good time for you?
Whenever.
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
4 o'clock.
Yes, Your Honor.
Fine. We'll prepare an order, give it to you. You meet at the precinct and exchange the dog.
Will he pay me from what I gave him?
He'll give you back the $100.
What about all the vet bills?
That you eat.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's the order. That's what he wants.
Sounds good.
Let him go explain it to his daughter. Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Then him win.
This court is adjourned.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly I'm going to do moving forward.
I didn't feel like I got the dog that I wanted.
I never made a threat to him, never did anything like that. I told him that I would take him to court.
It was definitely a better dog out there.
I'm an honest, hardworking man, and I deserve what he's supposed to pay to me.
So I was so confused because as I'm looking for where it comes from, because I know it's not a purebred, it said the American Bully is a great family dog because although bred from pit bulls, which sometimes have an aggressive tendency, the aggressive tendencies of American Bullies have been bred out. And I was a little bit confused how you could breed out the aggression.
I don't know. I hate to be that guy going home today to explain to his 7-year-old that she's losing her puppy.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't.
Her ex-boyfriend's brother, Cleefers McCowan Jr., for personal property and filing a false police report.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2143, Simpsons versus McCowan Jr.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Simpson, you lived with Mr. McGowan for, looks like 7 years is what you said.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. It was off and on.
What do you mean off and on?
Well, I had another residence as well.
Okay.
And
it's going to get more complicated, I see, than less complicated. You lived off and on, according to you, with the defendant's brother, who is now deceased. It is your claim at one point in your papers that you and the defendant's brother were married.
Yes, ma'am.
He passed away.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that the defendant owes you money. He was the executor of the estate, and he owes you money for property that he took from the house and for filing a false police report against you, I assume indicating that you took things from the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. McGowan says that you and his brother were never married, while he indicates in his papers there might have been some sort of ceremony of marriage.
Yes.
That his brother somehow must have told him that he never filed the marriage license, so the marriage was never valid.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, let's go to that for a moment.
Yeah.
Yes, it's sort of curious and takes me back to law school days. And believe me, that really tests my memory. Were you at the ceremony where your brother married the plaintiff?
No, ma'am, I was not.
When did your brother tell you that there was a marriage ceremony?
I probably heard it just throughout life.
You mean throughout life for how long?
From the time that he had any dealings with her.
So about 7 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
So you asked your brother whether he was married?
Yes.
How long ago was this?
I would say 4 years ago.
Okay, so 4 years ago, you say to your brother, I understand that you, what's your first name?
Mona.
Mona got married.
Well, so he gave me an insurance document, and I was like, wow, what's going on? What about all this?
He gave you an insurance document that said what?
From the VA indicating that I was going to be the person that gets the money upon if he demise.
If he died,
right? And
you had a VA insurance policy.
Yes, ma'am.
With you as the beneficiary.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so he showed you the insurance policy.
Well, he sent it to me in the mail.
Okay, and
email or electronic. And so I said, wow, what's going on? So then I started to ask different questions, and he said, well, don't worry about that. We're not legally married.
No, you have to tell me. I said to him.
I said to him, so doesn't your wife
Isn't she the beneficiary?
I don't want to be involved in all this.
Right.
And he said, I am not married. We went through a ceremony, and you have 10 days to file the
marriage license.
The marriage license in Las Vegas.
Okay.
To solidify the marriage. And then he said, I never filed it. We are not married.
May I?
Just a second. Did your brother tell you that he had ever told Ms. Simpson that he never filed the marriage license?
No, we never had that conversation.
Okay, well, because you say in your answer, sir, that my brother was too smart for that, he never mailed in the license.
Well, he told me because there was a problem between these two. And so we talked about that, and he said, no, I'm not married to her. And he said, you have to file the document, and I never filed the document. And I have a copy of that right here.
Ms. Simpson,
yes, ma'am.
Tell me when this ceremony took place in Las Vegas.
April 2013.
Did you travel there with Mr. McGowan?
Yes, ma'am. We moved to Vegas together.
Who was at the ceremony?
It was no ceremony. What happened was I don't know what this is. What happened was we went to the Justice of the Peace, and the 10 days is not acronym.
No, don't.
Don't
apologize. Don't tell me.
We had 1 year to go to like a pastor or minister or something like that because we just went to the Justice of the Peace in Vegas. They give you a year to do it, whereas it's, I guess, what I think the term is officiant or something. Officiant has to do it so you can become married permanently.
So you knew that you were not legally married?
Well, it was legal, but it would be official if you don't do another step within a year. And
I understand that, but you never did the other step.
We didn't, only because he was sick, ma'am.
I don't care what the reason was. I don't care if he was watching Yellowstone or because it doesn't matter why.
I respect that.
What? You can get hooked on that.
No, yeah.
I understand.
So
no,
I don't care what the reason is. You knew that your marriage, because it wasn't confirmed, according to you, within a year that you weren't legally married.
Yes, ma'am. And that
okay, just a second. That's all I want to know. That makes my life much easier. Because, Mr. McGowan, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Under what you told me, under the events that you told me, you see, you should have kept your mouth shut.
No, it's okay.
No.
It's going to be okay in the end. It's going to make a lot of sense in the end.
No, I understand that it's going to make a lot of sense to me. We're going to follow the money. But I just want to tell you and the people who are watching this that when I thought about your answer, that you said your brother was too smart and didn't file the necessary document within 10 days, my view of that scenario was that she could still consider herself his wife. Because if he fraudulently, in an attempt to deceive her, didn't mail the marriage license in, she would be the beneficiary. I'm just letting you know that. You understand what I just said?
Yes, ma'am.
Because he committed a fraud on her. He would have committed a fraud, your brother, on her into leading her to believe that they were a married couple and they had the responsibilities and the benefits of a married couple. But she says she volunteered that she knew they weren't married.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to address that.
And it's okay.
Just a second. I know where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So Mr. McGowan, the person that you were involved in for a period of years, on and off, you had your own place, but he was ill for a certain period of time. Was your brother ill?
No, ma'am.
No. Just a second. Key says no. You say he was ill for a great portion of that time.
Met him.
Shh. Just a second. For a great portion of that time, and that you were his caregiver.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were paid as his caregiver by the government.
The VA, yes, ma'am.
By the VA to be his caregiver.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that would be inconsistent with being his wife, to be his caregiver. Because if you're a wife, you don't get benefits from the VA. If you are a non-relative and caring for somebody who requires assistance, you may get assistance. And how much was the VA? Just answer my question.
Yes,
this is not my first rodeo.
Okay, I understand.
How much was the VA paying you a month to take care of, what was your brother's first name?
Marcus.
How much were you being paid to take care of Marcus? Because you say that one check you didn't get because of him. It's part of your lawsuit, so you know exactly how much you were paid.
Ma'am.
How much?
$2,057.55.
A month.
Yes,
and when
ma'am.
did you start collecting that?
2014.
Woo! You are a legal stranger, so you must have filled out forms to say that you were married.
No, I was considered a family member. I was no longer considered the wife, but I was considered...
Well, you're not no longer. You were never his wife.
Ramona Simpson claims her ex-boyfriend's brother, Cleefers McCowan Jr., threw out her personal belongings. Cleefers is countersuing for damage and stolen property.
Okay, so there was a reason why you didn't continue to solemnize the marriage ceremony that you went through in 2013, because you started to collect $2,000 a month from the VA in 2014 that you couldn't have collected were you his wife. That's a yes.
No, it isn't, ma'am. Receiving the benefits from the VA, you have to be a family member. You have to be related to that person in order to get this stipend pay. It wasn't a regular VA payment, and it's for relatives. You have to be a relative for that veteran.
What are you getting?
Yes, it's true.
Check that,
Pull
Sarah.
up stipend pay for VA, because we're both disabled veterans. It's not like I just had to do this. I loved him, and I care for him, and he was sick the day I met him.
Just a minute, you both disabled veterans?
Well, my disability was not as crucial as his was.
How much do you collect?
I very minimum, because
I asked you a question. That's a very minimum.
Yes.
It's not a number.
Yes, it's $300 and some change. But the thing is, Your Honor, may I speak, please? He was sick from the day that I met him, and I was taking care of him prior for that. This was his idea, because he was familiar with the veterans and the system. This was his idea that we can receive funds, and it stayed right in the household. We were living together. It was stayed in the household, and that's okay with them.
I thought you told me a moment ago that you had your own place.
No, not then, ma'am. Not then, when we moved back from Vegas, because we stayed in Vegas for approximately 3 years. When we moved back from Vegas, he had purchase of home and everything, and it was supposed to be okay. We were going to be together, but he started living another alternate life, which he was very familiar with, because he's introduced him to so many people. I don't even care about that. I still continue to take care of Marcus. It was no longer a romantic situation.
Now you still continue. You had your own place.
I lived both places, because he needed me more there than he did when we was living together.
What kind of alternative lifestyle was he doing that he needed you there part-time?
He was seeing other people and
he was
stuff like
seeing
that.
women.
Pardon me?
He was seeing other women.
He was seeing other people, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he was seeing other people. But let me finish.
Yes, ma'am.
But you continued to receive the $2,057. You knew you weren't married. That money was coming directly to you. It wasn't coming to him.
Well,
it was coming to you. At what address?
He was giving me a portion from his bank account, and then when we discontinued everything, there was nothing physical. Then I was receiving my full allotment at that point, but I was still taking care of him, taking him to the VA, taking him to the hospital.
Wait just a second. I don't care. Don't go like this and like this. He's a legal stranger to you, and you're getting $2,000 a month to take him to the VA.
Ma'am, he was not a legal stranger.
He was a legal stranger to you. Legal. He was not your mother, father, brother, sister, or husband.
Ma'am, he was a dear friend of me. He continued to be a friend, honestly.
Well,
and he knows that. We went to several places together.
I'm setting up for myself what is the actuality of the situation. Now, I understand that I was really not prepared for this scenario. I was prepared for somebody, quite frankly, Miss Simpson, who had been defrauded by his deceased brother into believing they were married. She took care of him when he was sick. And all of a sudden, now that he's deceased, his brother comes in, kicks her out of the house, and takes all of his property. That's the scenario. But now I understand that that is not the case, that you knew you weren't married, that for 8 years you collected $2,000 a month for taking him to the doctor's offices, to the vet, to taking care of him in the house, but you understood that he was seeing other people, that you didn't have an exclusive relationship. Now I understand it. And you did receive a certain benefit from that because when you moved back from Vegas, you went to your own place because he was having an alternative life that had nothing to do with you. At that point, was the money going to his bank account or yours?
It was going to his bank account, ma'am.
Okay. Well, you say that he notified the government. Part of your lawsuit is for 1 month's check that you say, or 2 months that you didn't get. And you say you didn't get it because he notified the VA or somebody notified the VA. I don't care who notified the VA, but I want to know is, with those checks immediately preceding Mr. McGowan's death, going into his bank account or yours that he had?
His. It was going into Marcus's bank account.
Okay, and he was giving you money from that bank account?
Prior to his death, yes, ma'am.
Right up to the time he got sick and died?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
and how much would he give you?
He would have given me $2,057. $2,000.
All right.
No,
okay,
you mean total?
No,
I'm sorry.
No. I get it. It was not what I thought, but I get it.
Ma'am, may I
please explain money owed for the return of property. What property?
The property, which is my funds. I have jewelry that was missing and clothing that I never received because he kicked out his niece and boarded up the house.
Just a second. Was your brother taken to the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date?
28th of August, 2021.
Okay.
He was nowhere to be found.
Just what?
He wasn't around.
Just a second.
I did that.
Just a second. Did you take him to the hospital?
I had his daughter to call an ambulance. I got to Marcus's house and I followed him to the hospital. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, well, you want to just answer my question? I actually understand the whole scenario. You understand that I do understand the money part. I get it. So when you say his daughter called the ambulance and you got over there from your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who do you live with there?
My daughter and my son.
And in whose name is the lease?
My daughters, my son, and myself.
So all three are on the lease?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you had a lease at that address?
2017.
Okay, so we're talking about 5 years that you've had an alternative address. You have an answer for me?
There is a Veterans Affairs program of comprehensive assistance for family caregivers. It says $2,800 a month, but based on a fee schedule that can change. So the 2057 fits within the range.
And does it define family members?
It doesn't define the family caregiver, only that the VA may appoint someone who's part of the primary family caregivers to the veteran, but it doesn't identify who qualifies as a family caregiver.
As a family caregiver. And that's the act that you were under. But you were not a member of his family.
Yes, ma'am.
You were not a member of his family.
Well, it
not
goes
a well.
further than that.
Not a well. This is not a well. You're living with your daughter, your son, on a lease since 2017. You know he's got an alternative lifestyle that has absolutely nothing to do with you. He was giving you the $2,000 a month. I don't know why. I don't even have to get into that.
But you were not that individual.
But you were not a family member. If this is for family,
it does go to the veteran to then give the family caregiver, though.
Okay, but you are a legal stranger to him. So you must have filled out forms to say that you were married.
No, it's up to that. It's up to that individual, the veteran, and I know how the procedure goes. It's up to that individual. I was considered a family member. I was no longer considered the wife, but I was considered.
Well, you're not no longer. You were never his wife. So if he filled out a form and
I'm okay with that, ma'am, because I could have.
Okay, so he had the right. You were never his wife. He had the right to board up the house, whichever it is, and you weren't living there for 5 years. You had a place. So if you had clothes there and your jewelry, what were your clothes and your jewelry there? If he was fooling around with other women, why would you leave your clothes and your jewelry in the house?
Okay, ma'am. The thing is, no one has came to the home as another woman in that home. I was always there. He has no proof or evidence that I was not there. So basically, I had their clothes there because I stayed there. I lived there.
Forget it. You were more than compensated with $2,000 a month. What's next? I don't believe that you leave any valuable jewelry at his house.
I was there most of the time, honestly.
You don't need valuable jewelry if you're taking care of a sick person.
Ramona Simpson is accusing defendant Cleefers McCowan Jr. of throwing out her personal belongings.
Okay. Do you have any of her property?
No, ma'am.
Did you dispose of any of her property?
I didn't. She had no property
Just
there.
a second. I don't believe she had any property there either, anything of value.
And I did.
Okay.
Can I?
Excuse me.
I did find what the VA considers a caregiver. So if you're a spouse, son, daughter, parent, step-family member, or extended family member of a veteran, or if you live full-time with them, or if you're willing to live full-time with them if they designate you as the family caregiver.
So technically,
if you're willing to live with the veteran full-time, you could be qualified as a family caregiver, but it's up to the veteran to declare their own family
caregiver if you live there full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she stated if you were willing to, and I was always willing to.
Okay,
And because
good. I don't feel as if you were shortchanged, madam, at all. And I don't believe that you had anything of value in the house. So your case is dismissed. Now we're going to get to the second part of your claim. You say she took property from the house?
Yes, ma'am.
What property?
She took jewelry, guns.
What jewelry?
Chains, rings, cufflinks.
Show me.
Entire.
Show me. How am I going to figure that out? You have photographs of things?
Yes, I have some photographs here.
This is so sad.
So sad. You have to put a period and end it. You had a good thing going for 9 years.
Ma'am, the money was paid in the arrears, first of all. So me not getting paid for, and this is really not a big issue to me, what he's saying, because they're all lies, and I'll tell you the truth.
Just say, I'm not saying anything, madam. All I'm saying is you have no case, because I don't believe that somebody who lived in a lifestyle, as you've described, as you've described to me, which is you have your own home, where you're on a lease since 2017, where you said to me he had an alternative lifestyle, but I still took him to his VA appointments. I took him, and I was his caregiver, but I lived with my daughter and my son. I don't believe that you leave any valuable jewelry at his house.
I was there most of the time, honestly.
You don't need valuable jewelry if you're taking care of a sick person.
But
Can I see?
I was stating we're also friends, ma'am.
I've decided your case.
I respect that.
This is just what had happened to looking for everything that was taken in there.
I don't care. Who cares? What are you showing me? You're showing me that the place is a mess, that somebody went through it?
I'm showing you
I
what.
don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. Prior to his death, when had you seen your brother last?
I had seen him about 5 days prior to that.
You live close by?
I was living in San Diego at the time, and he lived in Highland, which is 79 miles up the 15 freeway.
Okay, so 5 days prior. Prior to the 5 days prior that you saw your brother, when had you seen him before?
We see each other quite frequently. We have family barbecues, this, that, and the other. I'm retired. I go.
Okay, would you return these to him? These don't show me any jewelry.
Okay.
It shows me that the house looked like it was picked through.
Okay. Thank you.
What else?
So quite frequently.
That's it. Did you get a VA benefit from your brother for his insurance?
From the life insurance policy.
Yeah, that's from the VA.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much did you receive?
$2,600.
Who paid for his funeral?
I did.
How much was that?
$1,100 or $1,200.
So you took some of the insurance money and paid for it?
Yes.
Did he have any other valuable asset?
He had quite a bit of stuff. We're in. It's in probate as we speak.
Oh, so case is in probate
It's in probate right now as we speak.
Oh, great. So I don't have to deal with it. Your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
You know what? I have a lot of respect for the judge, but she didn't listen to me.
Well, I'm happy that the judge made the decision that she made.
He's a habitual liar.
Thief. My brother died, and within a half a day went over and burglarized the house.
This is something that he can laugh about, and he's going to go and tell the whole world that I'm still a liar. I'm still a this, that, and the other.
There is quite a bit of items that belong to me that this person stole.
That you can love someone and not be married to them. You can help someone and not be married to them and making love to them. I was genuinely there to help Marcus because I love Marcus.
The devil. I don't want the devil, you know, the devil.
He barred me from the funeral. I didn't fight it because the respect I have for his family and for Marcus. I could have went there. No. I said, you know what? I won't be there.
I hope that she crawls back in the rat hole she came out of and does whatever she does.
You know what was interesting in that case, Sarah? When I read the complaint and the answer, I had a whole different vision.
Me too.
Of what the arrangement was. And based upon what the defendant wrote in his answer, that his brother, with regard to the marriage, to his brother telling him, I'm too smart, I didn't mail in the papers.
Read like fraud a little bit.
Right.
But she was in on it. She knew. She didn't complete the steps.
She didn't complete the step for a different reason, but she knew
that they weren't legally married.
That they weren't legally married.
Which changes the whole game from a legal perspective.
Right. Certainly the fact that the case is currently in probate made my life a lot easier. Anyway, it should be a warning signal when you get married out there, folks, and you have a marriage license, because I performed enough weddings to know you have to seal it, sign it, put a stamp on it, and usually put it in the mail within 3 days of the ceremony. So brides and grooms, make sure you put it in the mail together, or watch the officiant put it in the mail.
Is suing her ex-roommate, Adrian Carter, for property damage, breaking a lease, and a dog attack.
Court coming to order. All rise.
Be seated, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2080, Baptiste versus Carter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Baptiste, you and Miss Carter were roommates.
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
From October 7th to April 1st. Actually, May.
And it is your claim that Miss Carter vandalized certain property of yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Most specifically, a very expensive couch.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you had an argument, and that during the course of this argument, her dog bit you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And for breaching the lease, because she left.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but it was a good thing that she left, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You were happy that she left. Her dog bit you. She vandalized the sofa. You were very happy that she
left. Yeah.
You were very happy. So we're going to eliminate that breach of the lease part.
No.
Oh yes, we're going to eliminate the breach of the lease part because you were happy that she left.
I didn't want her to live in the same situation as her, but being that the rent was so expensive, it wouldn't have been my best interest for her to leave.
It's with her to stay with her dog that bit you.
Right.
I mean, I don't want you to sound ridiculous to me, okay?
Right.
All right, let's not sound ridiculous to me. Normal person, if they were bitten by their roommate's dog, and if their roommate vandalized their property, that roommate would be happy to see them go.
But I'm not happy with the expensive rent by myself.
Well, of course, but your choice would be staying with her and her dog that bit you.
But if her name's on the lease...
Just a second. That's between her and the landlord. I just told you, I'm sticking with vandalizing and dog bite. So tell me when this dog bite took place.
It's on March 29th.
What kind of dog was it, by the way?
It was a Belgian Malinois.
What do they look like?
It looks like a German Shepherd.
Is that what you have, Miss Carter? A Belgian
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. A Belgian Malinois, like a police dog.
So it looks like a German Shepherd?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a large dog?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you moved in together, you moved in with the dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So tell me what happened March 29th.
Okay, so before March 29th, Adrian and I got in a petty argument. It was dumb. We made up. In the argument, she confessed to me that...
Just a minute. You engaged in a petty argument, and then you made up?
Yes.
And the petty argument was on what date?
It was on the March 27th.
And you made up?
Yes.
Okay. On the 27th, what were you arguing about?
My dog tore up the carpet, and she sent this long paragraph, and we were just going back and forth, and we realized it was dumb, so we decided to drop it. And that's when she confessed to...
On the 27th?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were arguing about the dog, and then on the 27th, after you were over the argument about the dog, is that what you're telling me? Be very careful.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
She confessed that she gave the guy that I was seeing a lap dance.
And?
And I immediately cut all ties with her.
So you cut all ties with her how?
I stopped speaking to her.
Even though you were roommates?
Yes.
Okay.
After I stopped talking to her, social media posts were made.
By whom?
Adrian.
Okay. Social media posts were made. Do you have those?
No, I do not.
Do you have those?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Why don't you have them if this is your case?
They erase, but I have other things that I think you would want to see.
I'm going in order. This is a case, so don't try to creep into my mind. Even say in your complaint a couple of days later, there were things posted on social media. And is what you're telling me that they were erased?
Right. I didn't save anything that she posted.
Oh, never mind. I don't have to see anything, correct?
Correct.
So you didn't save anything?
No, ma'am.
Then you have no evidence of anything that happened
So
later.
I saw that she had no remorse for what she did. Then I made social media posts. Adrian was mad that I made social media posts. So the next morning, she's yelling at the top of her lungs at 10 in the morning. I wake up to see what she's yelling about. And she's just saying how I'm a and I shouldn't have posted what I posted. And we were just arguing about the situation. And I asked, how could she do this to me? It was a very heated argument. She was yelling at the top of her lungs. I was yelling at the top of my lungs. During the argument, her dog is whoo, going crazy. And while we were arguing, we were pretty close. The dog bit me, and I said, you need to get your dog. She said, no, your dog's good. And we continued to argue. The dog came to bite me again, and that's when I grabbed what was behind me, which was a paper towel holder, and I chucked it at the dog.
So the dog bit you on the arm?
Yes, ma'am, twice.
Okay. I would like to see a medical report on that.
Okay. All right, I have a photo of the bite, the antibiotics, and then this is the report.
Would you show this to Ms. Carter, please?
Your Honor, I know she has a video of the entire incident, if you'd rather.
It's not her obligation to prove your case, as my law clerk so aptly told me in the last case. Not her obligation, it's your obligation. Okay. So, go ahead.
After her dog bit me, I immediately grabbed my dog and I go to the hospital. I filled out
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Doberman.
Where was your Doberman when this was going on?
He was in the cage and he's still a baby as well. So I went to the hospital, got treated. While I was at the hospital, Adrian called the police and she said that I attacked her dog.
Don't tell me what she said to the police unless you have a police report.
Yes, ma'am, I have a police report.
Then I'd like to see the police report. That's an official business record.
So this is the first police report for the dog bite.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so April 19th, this day, Adrian knocked on my door.
No, April 19th? What was April 19th? I thought you moved out on April 1st.
No, she moved out on April 19th.
So is what you're saying after all this altercation, she moved out?
Yes, ma'am.
And stayed in the apartment with her dog from the 29th to April 19th?
Yes, ma'am. And I went to a friend's house the day the dog bit me, and then I went home for a week, and then that's when I came back, and this second incident happened.
So after the dog bit you, you did not go home. You took your dog and left.
Yes, ma'am.
And stayed at whose house for a week?
I stayed at a friend that lives an hour away from my current apartment.
On what date did you return?
So I stayed one night at a friend's house, and then I returned, and then I went home for a week. So
when you went, stop playing with papers.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you went home for the day, was the defendant at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any conversations with her?
No, ma'am.
Just stayed out of her way and packed a few things and left?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went to stay?
At home. in Alabama.
With your family?
Yes, ma'am. Until things cooled down, basically.
Okay, and when did you go back?
I went back, I believe, April 17th.
And what happened when you went back on the 17th?
A few days later, April 19th, Adrian was knocking on my door at 9 a.m. in the morning saying that I need to come to the leasing office because there's a new roommate here. I told her no, and then that's when she started threatening me and calling me all these kinds of names. So I take my dog again, I go outside, and I call an officer, and that's also when I called my mom, and she convinced me to go up there to speak with the new roommate to see, who they were.
What new roommate? Just a second.
She tried to get 2 young girls to replace her on the lease.
And it was unsatisfactory?
Yes, ma'am.
So far, I have a dog bite and
yes, ma'am.
Couch.
So after I said no to the 2 roommates, one didn't have a job, they looked young, I said no. I went back home. 10 minutes later, Adrian...
Home? You mean to your folks'
To our
house?
apartment.
Oh, to your apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So 10 minutes later, Adrian comes in. I was in the room with my door locked. I hear Adrian yelling. I hear her throwing things. She's saying, I can't believe you did that. You really just did that. I don't care. I'm still moving out. I'm still leaving. I'm not paying rent. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't come out the room because last time it got crazy, so I just said I would let her do what she does, and I will let the authorities handle it.
She did come out the room, Your Honor.
When I finally came out the room, which I have a video, and came out, she had moved the couch in front of the door so I couldn't get out of my room. And
well, how did you get out?
I jumped over it. And the trash can was flipped upside down. I have pictures of all the damage that she did to the house and videos.
Well, I'd like to see them, please. And I would like to see the damage to the couch, which is your major complaint.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the damages, and then I have a video of the entire incident right here.
Want to tell me how that happened?
I did put chips and items that wasn't wet on the couch out of anger. I shouldn't have did it, but I did do it. And I didn't put liquid on it or anything. Literally,
That's not true, Your Honor.
Don't speak. You had no right to even attempt to destroy it.
At all.
Later. So at that moment, I was like, you know what? I'll just do it myself so we can stop the confrontation. So then that's when the argument started, and he thought that I was kicking him out, which I never told him he couldn't come over, never told him he couldn't be a part of anything.
It's a failed business venture where you both expect...
It's not a business venture.
This is not a tea dance.
Brooke Batiste claims her ex-roommate, Adrian Carter, owes for couch damage and a dog attack.
By the way, did you have any unreimbursed medical bills as a result of this dog bite? That's either a yes or a no.
No, ma'am.
When did you purchase this couch?
I purchased it the day we moved in, so it was October 7th.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $2,200 in total, and Adrian and I were paying on it a little bit in the beginning, but there came a time where we had to make the final payment on it, which was $1,200. When we had the argument, she didn't pay anything, so I had to pay it all by myself. And the couch is in my name.
Did the couch remain?
Yes, ma'am. The couch is at the house.
What does it look like now?
It's black, but there's it's an odor coming from the couch, and there's some stains on it.
Do you have a picture of it, what it looks like now?
No, ma'am. I just have the pictures that I gave you.
Okay, but you're still using the sofa.
The
answer
it's
is...
a smell. No, ma'am. I don't sit on it anymore because there's a smell.
So why don't you get rid of it out of the apartment?
I'm moving October 6th, and that's when I plan to get rid of it.
But you've been using it since April.
It's just been sitting there, Your Honor. I haven't had
sitting
time.
in your apartment since April.
Yes, ma'am.
April, May,
I just haven't made the time to get rid of it because I know I'm moving soon, and that's when I plan to get rid of it.
I wouldn't keep something in my house that smelled.
I work a lot, and
Would you please show this to the defendant? Want to tell me how that happened?
I did put chips and items that wasn't wet on the couch out of anger. I shouldn't have did it, but I did do it. And I didn't put liquid on it or anything. Literally,
That's not true, Your Honor.
Don't speak.
You can get a napkin and wipe it off. But that's my couch too. Maybe I didn't pay the whole thing on it, but I've made payments on that couch, and I decided not to do that full payment that she did, which was $600, because she was irresponsible and decided to rent a couch and found out that that couch was whatever amount. I made payments on that couch, and I have proof for it.
That's okay. You had no right to even attempt to destroy it.
At all.
At all. You had no right to do that.
Right.
Because that devalued the sofa.
I agree.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm actually finished with you.
Your Honor, can we please go back over the lease portion of this?
No.
Can my mom speak about what happened?
No, I said no. When there's that kind of acrimony, I actually think that before somebody gets seriously injured, when you have two large dogs and two people with hot tempers that can do this, it's a very, very good thing that they no longer live together.
Being stuck with a rent and
Just a second. I've just answered you. This is not a back and forth.
Yes, ma'am.
On the dog bite, I am awarding you $1,000. It looks as if part of it was a black and blue mark. Certainly, I can't blame the dog for trying to protect its owner, but she's supposed to have control of her dog all the time.
And she shouldn't
So
start arguing.
this is not a tea dance. I'm not asking you anything. And I'm awarding you $1,200 for the sofa. That's $2,200. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very
Court
much.
is adjourned.
She just did something messed up, and I cut her off, and she didn't like it.
I literally cut her off. She's just mad that she's cut off.
She's delusional. She's delusional.
She's childish, she's irresponsible, and I was just sick of dealing with someone draining.
Just don't get roommates with your friends. Just move in by yourself.
I'm happy.
You had a question about the lease.
I did. So I agree that it was best for the acrimonious situation for them to separate and not to live there. So I understand your judgment saying it was better for you. You got the good end of the stick on that she left. However, the law, if you breach a lease, she did get stuck with a higher portion of rent because her roommate, although a negative situation that should have probably ended right when it did, she was stuck paying her half as well. So I thought you should have at least heard her claim on the breach of a lease, because then anyone could just say, oh, well, I don't like the situation and I feel like leaving would be a better thing, and stick their roommate with their portion of the rent. And that's not what the law says.
Well, that's true, except that this wasn't just a situation where parties weren't getting along. There's no question that she was nipped by the defendant's dog. Well, I wouldn't want to stay in that situation anyway.
Well, that would give her the right to maybe leave without paying her half of the rent, but that's not what happened.
It's also sort of acknowledged that the defendant brought two other people to take over her piece of rent. And it was in the papers, and the plaintiff did not...
She did say that she was the one that said no.
She said, I don't want those two people. Well, then the onus really falls on her to mitigate her damages. And she had no proof that she went forward to try to get another roommate. Between the two of them, they may have had an agreement, but the dispute over rent really is the defendants and the landlords. She doesn't pay her rent, and if the plaintiff pays her half of the rent, the landlord is free to go against either or both of them.
Sure, because both their names were on
the lease.
Understood.
Case 2083, David versus Baroon. All parties, please step forward.
Joseph David is suing his former friend, Jonathan Borum, for podcast equipment.
Mr. David, your claim that the defendant has acoustical equipment that you purchased for what looks to be a joint venture in Mr. Borum's music podcast.
Yes, ma'am.
You were making this music podcast in the basement of your house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Starting in what year?
This year of March.
And Mr. David, you were friends, you knew each other, and you knew he was in this business. I don't know, what is your business?
I deliver bread. I'm a bread vendor.
What kind of interest do you have in music? Because that's what he was doing.
Well, me and Jonathan have known each other for 20 years.
Jonathan and I have known each other.
Jonathan and I have known each other for 20 years, and he's always been in the music scene. He's an artist himself.
Well, that's what I gather. What about you?
I was just a supportive friend in it.
Okay, well, clearly you spent some money on music equipment, so it was more than being a supportive friend. If you were just being a supportive friend, then you made a gift to him of this music equipment.
No, ma'am.
You decided you wanted to be part of this music podcast. That's what you said.
Correct.
When did you make that decision?
Sometime mid-June, after I had...
June of this year?
This year, correct. I had received a small amount of money, and I was able to...
From where?
A settlement from
From
an
what?
injury, car accident.
Okay, how much did you receive?
A little under 50 grand. And I seen an opportunity for me to invest and help out and help a friend and be able to invest into something that if we blew up one day, I could receive, royalties from and money back in return. And
Did you have a written agreement with him?
We did not have a written agreement.
Well, I'd like to know what the agreement was.
So he was also in the car accident with me as well. And so he's got a settlement coming. He told me this was all verbal that once he received that money, he would pay me back at least half of the equipment.
So you would have a joint venture and he would pay you for half the equipment you purchased.
This was at the beginning, correct.
Do you remember, Mr. Borum, that conversation?
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
Were you in the automobile accident with him?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
You did not receive a settlement. Is there any reason?
We're still going through the court process.
Okay, so you're going to trial.
Actually, yeah, that's what it was set to go to trial because I didn't get the offer that my lawyer put in. So it's going to trial on my side, but on his behalf.
No, he's already settled his case.
Yeah, mine's not settled yet.
Okay. You indicate what you want is your equipment back.
No, I'd like the money back.
No, well, you get your equipment back if it's yours.
I want the money. I don't trust that he will give me the equipment back in good condition.
Let me explain this to you, Mr. David. If that's what you want, then I'm going to let you withdraw this case and go back to small claims court. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I'm going to dismiss your case without prejudice, which will allow you to go back to your small claims court, or do you wish to proceed with it today?
I wish to proceed.
Great. Why did you say I'll do the editing myself?
Because he was yelling at me and I told him...
What was he yelling at you?
Because he said that the product wasn't up to par. He said...
Just a second, Mr. Borum, this is your business.
Right.
Will you tell me, did you think the product was up to par?
Joseph David claims his former friend, Jonathan Borum, is wrongfully keeping his podcast equipment.
So, when you decided to enter this, according to you, agreement, that you would be in a joint venture, when he got his money, he would pay in his half of what the equipment costs, which you indicate, I think, is about $4,400.
Correct.
What I gather is there was a session set up that was supposed to take place in your basement.
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that?
I believe it was around like early June-ish.
Okay. And you have proof of the value of the equipment, I assume,
Correct.
and exactly what equipment there is.
Correct.
Is there, Mr. Borum, a dispute about what equipment he purchased?
Is there a dispute? Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
because he has a receipt. I just want to know if I have to go into this.
Well, on the receipt, he purchased it on his card, but we're friends. We were going in together, so he bought it on his card because he had the money.
Oh, just a second. I understand that, Mr. Borum. I'm asking you
fine.
whether there is an agreement as to what the pieces he purchased on his card.
Yes, ma'am. As far as the agreement, I'm not understanding the question.
Okay. What pieces of equipment did he buy that's in your basement?
Cameras.
Camera.
Cords.
Cord.
And probably the Black Magic.
Black Magic?
Black Magic, yes, ma'am. It's a device that works.
Do you know what he's talking about?
I do.
Anything else that's down there that you purchased other than those 3 items?
Yes, ma'am. In total...
What? Shh, look at me. Tell me what else.
In total, there's 2 Panasonic cameras.
Are there 2 cameras
Yes,
that he
ma'am.
purchased? 2 cameras.
Can I look down for...
I can't hear you if you're mumbling.
There's lighting, 3 lights. There's
3 lights. Did he purchase 3 lights?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
wireless mics.
How many?
It was a set of 2.
Did he purchase those?
Yes, ma'am. And not to correct you, but we purchased those.
No, you didn't pay for it.
I gave him the money.
Just a second.
I gave him cash.
Oh, you did? You're going to show me proof of that in a moment.
Well, I don't have proof that I gave him cash. No, ma'am. Because we were friends, so...
Just a second. Okay. You have no proof? Did he give you cash?
No, ma'am. He never gave me $1.
Fine.
Not a penny.
Okay,
not a
let's
dime.
go. We have 3 lights, 2 mics. What else?
HDMI cord.
He has a cord.
Blackmagic A10.
He has that.
256 gigabyte SD card.
What is that?
Memory card.
It's a $50 memory card. It adds up.
Let's go.
The card reader, 20-foot cables, a stencil, and a table.
Just a second. A stencil and a table. Describe that.
It's for the logo that we made for the podcast. I purchased the stencil for the logo.
How much did you pay for that?
Between that and the table is $80.
Let's stay with the big ticket items, sir, Henry.
I was adding
Great.
everything.
Okay. Are we finished with the list?
Yep, that's all.
Very good. How much did you pay for these things minus the $50 card in total? Show me.
Minus the $50.
Yeah.
$43.50.
Okay. And all of that is in your basement now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what happened, according to what I read, there was a music session scheduled. And at the time that there was a music session scheduled, your daughter had COVID.
Yes, ma'am.
She lives on top of the house. Okay. And how old is she?
That was in July. She's 10 months now, so probably about 8 months.
Okay. And she's cared for by both you and your wife. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I gather, Mr. David, that when you found out that there was COVID in the house, you didn't want to go into the basement.
Correct.
And that was sometime in June.
Correct.
Okay, can you tell me about that conversation?
Well, he told me that she had COVID, and then he said that his fiance may possibly have it, and he may possibly have it. He even took off work, and I filled in for him at work for 3 days because he may have had COVID or not, and he said he wasn't
Well, he
feeling
wasn't. He didn't want to go in and risk it.
Correct. So I told him I do not want to continue with this interview. He said he would continue on.
You mean
with
the interview that was supposed to take place in the
Correct.
basement?
Correct.
How much after, Mr. David, did you find out that the infant had COVID and that Mr. Borum and his wife were both exposed? Was the video podcast supposed to be made in the basement?
2-3 days.
Is that correct, Mr. Borum?
From anywhere between 2 to 5 days, ma'am.
And when Mr. David told you he didn't feel comfortable coming into the house, what did you say to him?
I said, okay, I would have someone else fill in his position because I understood why he didn't want to come over.
Okay, and did you have someone fill in his position?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened, Mr. Borum?
The episode got done, and it wasn't up to par with Joseph's standards. So
And?
that's when the argument begun.
Okay, and the argument was what?
The argument was the guy didn't do it right, so it was a lot of bickering. So I told Joe, you know, I just do the editing myself. And he took that as I was cutting him out.
Okay, so he was supposed to do the editing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and why did you say, I'll do the editing myself?
Because he was yelling at me, and I told him...
What was he yelling at you about?
Because he said that the product wasn't up to par. He said...
Just a second, Mr. Borum, this is your business.
Right.
Will you tell me, did you think the product was up to par?
I did, but I thought it was up to par, but I took his recommendation because I brought him in for production. So I was like, okay, if you don't feel like it's up to par, let's figure it out. But then we kept going back and forth. So at that moment, I was like, you know what? I'll just do it myself so we can stop the confrontation. Because you didn't want to tell the guy what he did wrong. So then that's when the argument started, and he thought that I was kicking him out, which I never told him he couldn't come over, never told him he couldn't be a part of anything. I just told him I wasn't going back and forth because that's why I brought you in for that.
May I see the credit card statement from the purchase of this equipment? And Mr. Borum, I want to see where you took out $2,200 from in cash. I want to see where you took. You said you paid him half.
$2,200. I didn't pay half.
Well, what'd you pay?
I never stated that I paid half.
Shh. If you're partners, that's what you have to pay. How much did you give him?
I gave him money here and there, like on all the...
That doesn't help. That doesn't help me, sir. That doesn't help me. These are bank statements.
I didn't think I had to keep a record if we was best friends for 15 years. That's just...
I can't help you, sir. I can't help you if you say you paid a little bit here and there. I can't help you with that.
Never gave me a dime.
So when you state that if you're a friend, you're doing this to help me out as a gift for what I got going on.
Never a gift.
And then you try to bring it and take it back from me.
Mr. Borum, how many podcasts have you made since June?
Since June?
Yeah.
I believe we on episode 15, 16, something like that.
15, 16. Successfully.
Yes, ma'am.
And you intend to do this for profit?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you so far seen any profit?
Not as now, because you know you gotta build up.
Just a second. So not as of yet.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you work?
Yes, ma'am.
Does your wife work?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you have two incomes in the house.
Right.
And this is a side job for you.
Correct.
But you have to buy your own equipment because he's coming to get his equipment. That's going to be the court's order.
So if
it's his equipment. It's his equipment. The equipment
that he gift it to me. That's what he told me he was doing because we was friends. And he appreciated what I was doing.
This is why we're here.
Right.
And now I heard you, and I heard him, and now I'm ruling. I am making an order that he, within 5 days of today, with a marshal or a sheriff, will come and pick up his equipment.
So you giving him my equipment back is tarnishing what I got going on.
I'm giving him his equipment back.
But he never used it, though.
I don't care whether he used it or not. It was a failed business venture where you both expect...
It's not a business venture.
This is not a tea dance. He's getting back his equipment. You and your wife have a side business going. Go buy equipment. Do you understand? 5 days, wait outside. You'll get a copy of my order. You can go get your equipment. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
A 15-year friendship, obviously it don't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Eventually, you see the real person in somebody. That's all I can say.
You could be friends with somebody 100 years, and they gonna change.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had a good friend for a while, but really...
Man, the show gonna go on, man. Y'all know, make sure y'all watch, tune in.
I was just tolerating a really bad person.
I've had understandings with my friends similar to what the plaintiff and defendant has, one of my friends will stay in my apartment from time to time for a few nights, and I always make sure, because you never want a holdover tenant or a friend staying longer than you had anticipated, and I'll text and I'll say, okay, you're good to stay there Thursday and Friday night. Let me know if there's any problems, but you got to be gone by 9 a.m. on Saturday. Just to memorialize the understanding that I think I have, even with friends. It's just always smart to have some sort of record of a business, an understanding, a trade-off. I just think that it's good practice to, even if it's just a text, something to memorialize what you believe the understanding to be.
I agree with you. Yeah. And that would make my job easy, but would eliminate this TV program.
Potentially.
Hi, hello, and welcome our new video.
নতুন একটি ভিডিওতে সকলকে স্বাগতম। আরেকটি নতুন ভিডিও বা ব্লগে আপনাদেরকে সকলকে আবার পুনরায় স্বাগতম জানাচ্ছি। আজকে হচ্ছে বিল্ডিং এর হচ্ছে ঘষা মাজার কাজ হচ্ছে, আপনার সিলার দিবে। তো আপনাদেরকে একটু পর দেখাবো মিস্ত্রিরা কিভাবে ঘষা মাজা করতেছে। তো এখন আমরা নিচে যাব, নিচে যাওয়ার পর আপনাদেরকে দেখাবো কিভাবে হচ্ছে মিস্ত্রিরা আপনার প্লাস্টারটা পরিষ্কার করতেছে, যে আপনার সিলার দিবে। ভিতরে হচ্ছে ওয়াটার সিলার দিবে এবং বাইরে হচ্ছে ওয়েদার সিলার দিবে। তো চলুন আমরা এখন নিচে যাই এবং আপনাদেরকে দেখাই কিভাবে মিস্ত্রিরা কাজ করতেছে। আমরা এখন সিঁড়িতে নামতেছি, তারপর হচ্ছে আপনার দেখতে পারবো এই দেখুন কিভাবে করতেছে। বাথরুমের হচ্ছে জানলার এখানে পরিষ্কার করতেছে, এখানে আরেকবার করতেছে। মানে দুটো রুম কমপ্লিট হয়ে গেছে ঘষা। বিশেষ করে কোনাগুলো খুব খেয়াল করতে হবে যে এটা ঘষা কি ক্লিয়ার হয়েছে কিনা। প্রথমে ঘষা দেয়, তারপর হচ্ছে এরকম ভাবে তালা দিয়ে হচ্ছে ঝাড়ু দেয়, এতে কোনো ধুলা থাকলে সেই ধুলাটা পরিষ্কার হবে। আচ্ছা, এইভাবে দেখেন কিভাবে হচ্ছে জানলাগুলো পরিষ্কার করতেছে। রং করার আগে হচ্ছে জানলাগুলো পরিষ্কার করতে হয় এইভাবে। ওইটাতে ডলতেছে, পরে সিরিজ কাগজে ডলতেছে, সিরিজ কাগজে ডলতেছে। পরে যে হচ্ছে ময়লাগুলো পরিষ্কার করে সিমেন্ট বা অন্য কোনো ময়লা থাকলে তারপর হচ্ছে আপনার সিরিজ কাগজটা ডলে একবার ক্লিন করতে। এই ছিল হচ্ছে আপনার ঘষা মাজার ভিডিওটা দেখালাম আপনাদের কীভাবে করে ঘষা ঘষতেছে। এইভাবে হচ্ছে প্লাস্টারগুলো ঘষে মসৃণ বা ক্লিন করে ফেলবে। তো এইভাবে ঘষার পর তারপরে হচ্ছে আপনার অন্যান্য কাজগুলো করে এবং তারপর হচ্ছে আপনার রঙটা বা আস্তরটা দিবে। রং তো না আসলে সিলার বা আপনার হচ্ছে আস্তর। এই আস্তর দেওয়ার পর আপনি স্বাভাবিকভাবে উঠতে পারবেন। তবে আপনি মোটামুটি 7-8 মাস বা 1 বছর পর আপনার হচ্ছে রং করিয়ে নেওয়া ভালো, সবচেয়ে বেস্ট হয়। তো আপাতত আমি এরকমভাবে রংটা বা সিলারটা দিয়ে তো উঠবো, তারপর হচ্ছে আস্তে আস্তে তোমার সুযোগ সুবিধা অনুযায়ী আমি হচ্ছে রং করে নেব। এটা হচ্ছে পরিকল্পনা। বিল্ডিংয়ের এই পাশে দেখেন একজনের বাসা, কত সুন্দর ছাদ বাগান করছে এবং উপরে কবুতর পালে। এখানে দেখেন কবুতরগুলো কীভাবে সুন্দরভাবে তাকে রোদ শোকাচ্ছে। এবং এখানে একটা গাছ আছে, আমরা গাছ, ছোট একটা গাছ, কিন্তু এখনই ফল ধরে গেছে। আপনারা কি দেখতে পাচ্ছেন কিনা একটু জুম করে দিই। এই দেখুন সুন্দর একটি ছাদ বাগান করছেন। তো আপনিও চাইলে এরকম আপনার ছাদটাকে উপযোগী ছাদ বাগান হিসেবে ব্যবহার করার জন্য উপযোগী করে তুলতে পারেন এবং আপনার নিত্য প্রয়োজনীয় যে সবজি প্রতিদিনকার দৈনিক সেই সবজির যোগানটা আপনি হচ্ছে এই ছাদ বাগানের মাধ্যমে নিতে পারেন। এখানে উনি হচ্ছে ফল গাছ লাগিয়েছে অনেকগুলো, আম, আমরা আপনার লেবু, সবেদা এই টাইপের। কিন্তু আপনি চাইলে আপনার সবজির যোগানটা আপনি হচ্ছে ছাদের মাধ্যমেই আপনি কিন্তু চাইলে কিন্তু আপনি যোগাইতে পারবেন। এটা কিন্তু আপনার জন্য অনেক উপযোগী বা এবং উপকারী হবে এবং আপনার ছাদটা ঠান্ডাও থাকবে, গরমের দিন আপনার জন্য খুব ভালো হবে এবং পরিবেশের জন্য খুব ভালো। ছাদে আসার পর যদি একটু সবুজ প্রকৃতির একটি পরিবেশ পাওয়া যায় তাহলে কেমন হয় আপনি বলুন। তো আপনিও চাইলে এরকম একটি ছাদ বাগান করতে পারেন এবং আপনার পরিবেশকে আরও সুন্দর করে তুলতে পারেন।